Afternoon, everybody. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV here to bring you a live news update. We're going to be talking about the upcoming Epstein files vote. I just saw right now that NBC News is reporting that the House has scheduled the Epstein vote for tomorrow afternoon. So we're going to be covering that, the Epstein files vote. That's a vote to tell the Justice Department to release the Epstein files. Now, the Senate would have to pass the bill and Trump would need to sign it for it to become law. But it'd be a big deal if they voted on it and they passed the vote, which is expected to happen. So we'll be covering that tomorrow. Let's see if I can find the schedule there. Tuesday. I don't see it on the schedule online yet, but NBC News is reporting they have put it on their schedule. So, and then tomorrow also, just so you know, we're also going to be covering, in the morning, there is scheduled to be a press conference with Marjorie Taylor Greene and other members of Congress to talk about the Epstein Files Transparency Act. I think Ro Khanna might be there too. So I'm planning on covering that. That'll be in the morning. I think at like 9 Eastern time. So tomorrow's going to be a bunch of coverage of that. Also, I saw reporting today, Annie Carney, who's with the New York Times, she thinks it might be, she's a congressional reporter for the New York Times. She thinks it might end up being a unanimous vote in the House. She reported that one member of Congress, Troy Nehls, who previously had been a hard no on the release of the files, now says he's going to be voting yes. So we're going to be covering this tomorrow. Again, I do anticipate, unless it gets canceled, I'm anticipating tomorrow morning covering the press conference, and then tomorrow afternoon covering the vote. Maybe we'll just do one long stream. So that's tomorrow. So that's a big deal. You can see there, U.S. House to push forward on Epstein vote after Trump reversal. So we're going to be talking about that today. We're going to be talking about Venezuela today. Persistent speculation about possible U.S. military action in Venezuela. There's some other news stories going on I want to talk about. So we're going to talk about a bunch of this stuff. Also, now I don't know. President Trump did an appearance earlier where he took some questions. So we're going to be showing that. Now, President Trump is supposed to speak at like 6 p.m. I don't know if that's going to be delayed. It's some event, the McDonald's Impact Summit. Now, I don't know if the White House is going to be broadcasting that. The news agencies right now that I pay for, they're not going to be showing it in a way that I can show it. But the White House may show it. So I got to keep an eye on that. Maybe we'll get to see that. I'm not sure. Also, supposedly, Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro is going to be speaking around 6 Eastern time. Supposedly. Reuters says that Venezuelan President Maduro, he'll be hosting his weekly media show. So, but it's not, it's going to be in Spanish. I don't think it's going to be in English, but maybe we can watch some of that too. So I'll keep an eye out for that. Couple things keeping an eye on. All right, so we're going to be bringing you all of this coverage here. And so I think what we should do to start is we should get into, let's get caught up on what's going on with Epstein, okay? President Trump, by the way, big reversal from President Trump last night, saying he was now for the release of the Epstein files. We're going to talk about that. And just to remind you, in case you didn't see it last night, about his post he made. I have to pull it up here. This was his post last night. So now he's for the release of the Epstein files. So just to show you this, he said, as I said on Friday night aboard Air Force One to the fake news media, House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide and it's time to move on from this Democrat hoax perpetrated by radical left lunatics in order to deflect from the great success of the Republican Party, including our recent victory on the Democrat shutdown. I believe, by the way, that President Trump could order them released if he wanted to. I believe that's the case. Maybe I can get some confirmation for you. Anyways, Trump also said last night, the Department of Justice has already turned over tens of thousands of pages to the public on Epstein, are looking at various Democrat operatives, Bill Clinton, Reid Hoffman, Larry Summers, etc., and their relationship to Epstein. And the House Oversight Committee can have whatever they are legally entitled to, he says. I don't care. All I do care is that Republicans get back on point, which is the economy, affordability, where we are winning big, he says. Our victory on reducing inflation from the highest level in history to practically nothing, he says. Bringing down prices for the American people, delivering historic tax cuts, gaining trillions of dollars of investment into America, a record, he says, the rebuilding of our military, securing our border, deporting criminal illegal aliens, ending men and women's sports, stopping transgender for everyone, and so much more. Nobody cared about Jeffrey Epstein when he was alive, claims President Trump, and if the Democrats had anything, they would have released it before our landslide election victory. Some members of the Republican Party are being used, he says, and we can't let that happen. Let's start talking about the Republican Party's record-setting achievements and not fall into the Epstein trap, which is actually a curse on the Democrats, not us. Make America great again. Okay, so he said that all last night, changing his position and now calling for, well, he's calling for House Republicans to vote yes. You might say, well, he isn't releasing it himself, and he also uses this phrase legally entitled to. Anyways, though, it seems like a reversal of position. We're going to talk more about this. All right, so we're going to take your comments on the air. We're going to talk more about this. We're going to bring you the latest updates, and we're going to get into all that. First, real quick, this, like a couple of our broadcasts last week, is a sponsored broadcast. I really appreciate our sponsor, Gold Safe Exchange. So let's real quick hear a word about our sponsor, and then we'll come back and get into the news stories and take your comments. So give me a moment here, and we will do this, and we'll come back and get into it all. You know, a number of people these days are investing in gold, silver, and other precious metals as a way of diversifying their portfolio. If you're interested in purchasing some precious metals, one way you can do that is with a precious metals IRA. This is an IRS-approved type of IRA in which your savings are invested into gold or other precious metals. If that kind of thing sounds interesting to you, if you want to know more, you can reach out to the folks at Gold Safe Exchange. They specialize in gold IRAs and other precious metals IRAs. Gold Safe Exchange puts a priority on customer service and transparency. They've got an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. They have a price match guarantee. If you find a lower quote, they'll beat it. And they explain their processes in clear language so their clients know what's happening with their money. Also, they abide by all government security and safety standards. So if you're even a little interested in opening a gold IRA or other precious metals IRA, call Gold Safe Exchange at 800-341-6727 for a no-pressure chat. Or visit them on the web at goldsafeexchange.com/agenda-free. And mention Agenda-Free TV when you reach out to access a special offer where you could get free gold or silver with qualifying purchases. Okay, so let's get into it. By the way, speaking of investments, something else I'm keeping an eye on today, Bitcoin is now under 92,000. That's something else we should talk about today. Bitcoin is under 92,000. Bitcoin was above 115,000 on October 28th, because I'm looking at it right here. It is now under 92,000. So that's worth keeping an eye on. And then it was also, I mean, back on as late, it was around 124 or 5,000 back on October 5th. So just about a month and a half ago, it was around 124, 125,000. And now it is below 92,000. So I'm keeping an eye on that today. I don't want to lead with it, but something worth keeping an eye on. Also, I think stocks were down today, if I have that right. We're going to talk about that too. Yes, NASDAQ down about 0.85%, Dow Jones down more than 1%, Russell 2000 down almost 2% today. So we're going to talk, we got to get into that too. But I'll be keeping an eye on the whole Bitcoin thing. Okay, a lot to talk about, Let's talk about the Epstein files. I want to take some comments from you. And again, tomorrow, planning full coverage. We're going to cover the vote in the House, assuming it happens tomorrow. Supposedly, it's been scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. We're going to cover the press conference in the morning with Marjorie Taylor Greene and others. We got to talk a bit about the whole Marjorie Taylor Greene feud with Trump, too. All right. So you can see here, U.S. House to push forward on Epstein vote after Trump reversal. Oh, real quick, also, thanks to our moderators for being here. I forgot to thank them. Ruth Krafasi is moderating right now. Carms is moderating. Thank you, Carms. Over on YouTube. We couldn't have our chat rooms without our moderators. Also, Linda Belk, Larry, Misha on X. There's a lot going on right now. Also, Idaho Star, DeBears, and Sarah on Twitch. Thank you for moderating over there. And I want to thank our Facebook moderators, too. We have Kay Lowry Body is moderating over there. Thanks, Kay. Also, thanks to Chuck Mosca for subscribing, and Margaret Riley for moderating. Thanks, Margaret, and Jennifer Ellers for subscribing. And thanks so much. I owe a quick thanks to P.A. Jeeper. Thanks, P.A. Jeeper, for your support. Also, Michael Abbott and Chris D. Chris D says Trump could literally release them now without a vote, LOL. Thank you, Honeybee, for the memberships. Thanks, Yvonne Okafor and Hot Mess are members. JB, thank you, JB. JB, I was reading something about that, I think yesterday. I need to look into that more. I don't have information at hand. I need to look it up more. If I get a chance, I'll look that up, JB. Thank you. Thank you also, Elijah. Elijah says we need to see the files unredacted. Also, Wendy Cookie, WM, our member. Georgia Peach, our member. PH Survivor 92, Braden E. Nelson, our members. And Irish Sweetness, thank you so much, Irish Sweetness, for the memberships. Okay, oops, here we go. Let's start talking about this. So you can see here, Reuters says the Republican-controlled U.S. House of Representatives is expected to vote as soon as Tuesday. And I believe it is scheduled for tomorrow afternoon now. See if I can find some confirmation of that. That's what NBC News was reporting. Hold on. I just saw that as I was coming on the air. Oh, Liz Elkind for Fox News says it's 3:15 p.m. tomorrow, okay? So according to Fox News' Liz Elkind, the vote is scheduled for 3:15 tomorrow, 3:15 p.m. So we're gonna be covering that live tomorrow. That is the House vote. The House vote to force the release of the investigative files related to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, with passage seen as all but guaranteed after President Trump dropped his long-standing opposition last night. And remember, just because they vote for it, that doesn't make it a law. The Senate would need to vote for it. And then it's not clear that the Senate will have a vote on it, by the way. We don't know if the Senate would hold a vote on this. And then Trump would need to sign it if both the House and Senate passed it. Trump's reversal late on Sunday came days after a House petition gathered enough support to force a vote, a rare instance of House Republicans defying the president's wishes. Until the weekend, Trump and his staff had lobbied hard to prevent any further release of the files from the criminal investigation by the U.S. Department of Justice into Epstein. a wealthy New York financier who was for a time friends with Trump. But as I told you last night on social media, he said that House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide. Okay, I want to take some comments from you guys. So we're going to be covering this vote tomorrow. Eagle 101 thinks Democrats will vote no on releasing the files. I don't think that's going to happen. We'll see, though. David B. says more foot dragging. Let's see here. Night Post says they need a veto vote. I don't know who Night Post is referring to with that comment. How long do you think the vote will take? Soggy Waffles says. So I don't know. I mean, the vote itself will take what, like 15 minutes or something? I don't know, something like that. But I don't know if there's going to be debate. It'll be very interesting to hear if sometimes with these votes, you have these like an hour of debate before the vote or something, or more or less. So I'll certainly be keeping an eye out. I'd love to be able to show that to you. I'll show it to you if it's happening, but we may have some sort of debate where different members of Congress come up and talk about it. I don't know for sure that that's happening. Molly Morgan thinks it won't pass the Senate. Maybe we should do a poll on it. Maybe we should do a poll. Matt C. says shredders go burr as we speak. So Matt thinks that some of the files are being shredded? Wheelie says, Pam Bondi has edited out all the Trump stuff anyways, LOL. Emilian says, I can't wait for the vote tomorrow, even though it'll probably die in the Senate. Let's do a poll. By the way, thanks to House of Stitches and also I Am Charlie and Tallulah A. Bell for your support. Let's do a quick poll, and the quick poll is, will the Senate vote to release the Epstein files? Not the House, the Senate. Assuming the House does it, will the Senate vote to release the Epstein files? That's the question. Not the House, the Senate. That would be after the House. Okay, so that's what I'm posting right now. I'm posting the poll, and we're going to see what you guys say about it here. I need to get it posted, though. Okay, so I just posted it. I'm going to check and see if I can post it on Facebook. Facebook polling has pretty much not been working lately, but I'm going to check and just see. So give me 1 second. I'm going to try it on Facebook. It's already posted on Twitch and YouTube. All right, here we go. I bet it's not going to work on Facebook. It's been broken for months. Never lets me see the results. Yeah, it doesn't work. It's not working. I can't see the results. I don't know if you could see it on Facebook. They do not fix it. It has been broken for months over there. I'm sorry, Facebook. I'd love to be able to let you guys see the polls. I can see the polls. Never lets me see the results. Oops, sorry. I can hear two of me. I can see but I can't see the results. It's ridiculous. Okay. Anyways, all right, so let's see what you guys had to say. Those of you not on Facebook. Hey, thanks so much to Kristen Gates. Hey, Kristen Gates, that's so nice of you. Thanks for your support of the channel, Kristen Gates. Oh, hang on one more second here. Let's see here. Okay. I'm showing you the poll results right now. Okay, on YouTube, I said, will the Senate, not the House, the Senate, vote to release the files after the House does? Now, this is interesting. Oops, look, it disappeared. There we go. Over on YouTube, 61% of you, 62%, 61% think that the Senate will vote to release the files. I believe President Trump said today he would sign them if both houses of Congress passed it. I think he said that, but I got to look that up and make sure. We'll watch that in a little bit. All right, so 61% of you. Facebook, I have no idea because it doesn't let me see anything. Sorry, Facebook, but this is how it is over there. Let me check Twitch. Let's see what Twitch has to say. Twitch says, here is the Twitch result. Twitch 73%. So you guys are pretty optimistic about this. I mean, it's not clear. The Senate hasn't, I believe the Senate leadership has not said they're going to have a vote on this. Maybe there'll be, I was thinking there might be a lot of political pressure on them. What if there's like a unanimous vote in the House or near unanimous? Wouldn't that put political pressure on senators to do it? David Carson says this is the biggest scandal I've ever seen. Anna Daisy says files could have been released under Biden. Hold on a second here. Oopsie. All right, so the viewers on Twitch and YouTube are generally think that this is going to happen in the Senate as well. Now, another whole question is, so say the House and the Senate vote and they approve this bill to force the Justice Department to release the Epstein files. And say President Trump signs it. I don't know if there's like language in the bill that could still prevent some of the documents from being released. I have no idea. This is a legal question. So that's a whole other thing. Like, could they say, well, certain things, I don't know what the whole language of the bill is. Could they say, well, the bill says that these sensitive things can't be released and all these documents count as these sensitive things or something? I don't know. So that's a whole other question we'll have to keep an eye on. All right, thanks for voting in our poll. Let me first of all close the poll. Now, Becca Boo says the files were ordered court sealed during Biden's administration. That's what Becca Boo says. So she disagrees with the other viewer. XX thinks the files don't threaten Trump. You can see here from Reuters, if the House passes the resolution, it would move to the Senate, which would also need to vote on it before sending it to Trump to sign. Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune's office declined to comment on what he planned to do about the bill. Reuters also says many of Trump's most loyal supporters believe the government is withholding sensitive documents that would reveal Epstein's ties to powerful public figures who have managed to escape scrutiny. This has led to Trump falling out with one of his staunchest Republican supporters in Congress, U.S. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, whom he publicly denounced as a traitor after her persistent criticism of how the party has dealt with the Epstein files. Yeah, let me talk about this a little bit, the whole Marjorie Taylor Greene thing. And again, we're planning on covering, she's supposed to do a press conference tomorrow morning about the Epstein files with other members of Congress. I believe that's going to be at 9 a.m., and I am planning on covering that tomorrow. And we're going to be covering the vote, which, from what Fox News is reporting, is going to be at 3:15. So let me show you this. Okay, here is Trump's post about Marjorie Taylor Greene, which was made on Friday night. Matt Phillips, our viewer, says Marjorie Taylor Greene is a patriot. Gavin House says Marjorie Taylor Greene went weird over this. Okay, Trump said Friday night, I am withdrawing my support and endorsement of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of the great state of Georgia over the past few weeks, despite my creating record achievements for our country, including a total and complete victory on the shutdown, closed borders, low taxes, no men in women's sports, or transgender for everyone, including DEI, Ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, biggest regulation cuts in history, stopping 8 wars, rebuilding our military, being respected by every country in the world, as opposed to being the laughingstock that we were just 12 months ago, having trillions of dollars record-setting, invested in the USA, and having created the hottest country anywhere in the world from being a dead country just 12 months ago, and so much more. All I see wacky Marjorie do is complain, complain, complain. It seemed to all begin when I sent her a poll stating that she should not run for senator or governor. She was at 12% and didn't have a chance unless, of course, she had my endorsement, which she wasn't about to get. She has told many people that she is upset that I don't return her phone calls anymore, but with 219 congressmen, women, 53 U.S. senators, 24 cabinet members, almost 200 countries, and an otherwise normal life to lead, I can't take a ranting lunatic's call every day. I understand that wonderful conservative people are thinking about primarying Marjorie in her district of Georgia, that they too are fed up with her and her antics, and if the right person runs, they will have my complete and unyielding support. She has gone far left, Trump says, even doing The View with their low IQ Republican-hating anchors. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. So that was the first of several messages he posted. Well, he posted some messages after this about Marjorie Taylor Greene, but this is the one where he said he was withdrawing his support and endorsement for her. And then, in case you didn't see it, Marjorie Taylor Greene has posted some things, but one of the things she posted was this. Hang on a moment. She said, actually, there's 2 posts I want to show you that she posted. Hold on. So she posted the day after that Trump post. She wrote, I am now being contacted by private security firms with warnings for my safety as a hotbed of threats against me are being fueled and egged on by the most powerful man in the world, the man I supported and helped get elected. Aggressive rhetoric attacking me has historically led to death threats and multiple convictions of men who were radicalized by the same type of rhetoric being directed at me right now, this time by the President of the United States. As a woman, I take threats from men seriously. I now have a small understanding of the fear and pressure the women who are victims of Jeffrey Epstein and his cabal must feel. As a Republican who overwhelmingly votes for President Trump's bills and agenda, his aggression against me, which also fuels the venomous nature of his radical internet trolls, many of whom are paid, this is completely shocking to everyone. My phone is blowing up with constant amazing support. I'm so thankful. The political industrial complex and the toxic violent nature of American politics must end. Our country is worth saving, and it can only be done if we pull together and save ourselves. And then she posted yesterday, she posted this, another post. Let me show you. She said, the hoax pizza deliveries have started now to my house and family members. Update. We also received a pipe bomb threat on my construction company's office building. President Trump's unwarranted and vicious attacks against me were a dog whistle to dangerous radicals that could lead to serious attacks on me and my family. Unfortunately, I've been down this road before. As a matter of fact, as I campaigned all over the country and defended President Trump, I received dozens of swatting calls on my house and my family members' homes, along with those hoax pizza deliveries. But even more severely, I have received some of the most death threats of any member of Congress that led to multiple men being convicted and serving time in prison. And all of that came from the left. Now that President Trump has called me a traitor, which is absolutely untrue and horrific, Mark Levine, is it Mark Levine? It's Mark Levine, or it's not Mark. I'm going to say Mark Levine. I always forget. Mark Levine, I'll say, has that small point aside, which is not really relevant to this. Now that President Trump has called me a traitor, which is absolutely untrue and horrific, Mark Levine has been calling me a traitor, and so have other prominent, likely paid social media activists. This puts blood in the water and creates a feeding frenzy, and it could ultimately lead to a harmful or even deadly outcome, she says. Also, the timing of this just happens to be days before we take the vote on releasing the Epstein files. I love America and the American people, and I swore an oath to uphold the Constitution and always do so. I am not a traitor, she says. However, when the President of the United States irresponsibly calls a member of Congress of his own party traitor, he is signaling what must be done to a traitor. I fought harder than anyone to help President Trump get elected, and I support his administration and the promises we made on the campaign. I am a Republican in good standing, and I have paid all my dues to the NRCC. My voting record is one of the most conservative voting records in Congress, and I'm very proud of that. The toxic and dangerous rhetoric in politics must end, and we need healing in this country for all Americans. And she posted an article about pizza doxing, a tactic used to harass and unnerve individuals by confirming their address and creating a sense of unease or potential security threat. By ordering pizzas to someone's home for intimidation. Wow, guys, there is a lot going on. There is a lot going on. That post I just read you was from yesterday. That was from yesterday. Hold on a second here. Now, that post yesterday was 22 hours ago. That was 22 hours ago. That post was from, that was yesterday at 6:15 p.m. So last night, President Trump posted about Marjorie Taylor Greene again. And this is what he said to her last night, several hours after her post that I just read you. Here is the post from President Trump from last night. Wacky Marjorie Trader Brown. Wacky Marjorie Trader Brown, remember Green turns to brown where there is rot involved, is working overtime to try and portray herself as a victim when in actuality she is the cause of all her own problems. The fact is nobody cares about this traitor to our country. So that's what after her message I just read you, the messages I just read you, this is after that. This is after that. This is 3 hours after that. That was last night. He called her a traitor twice in the message. You can see it says 9:30 p.m. last night. You know it's an involved situation when it takes 5 minutes just to go back and forth, probably 5 to 10 minutes, just to go back and forth and read. I'm not even reading you all the messages. I'm just reading you the selection of the most prominent, what I think are the most prominent messages, or most of the most prominent messages in their recent back and forth. I mean, there's so much going on here. Crew Dog says, as the White House turns. J.K. Senar posted a popcorn emoji. So we'll see, if he keeps posting about her and how that all goes. Yes, Ed Wiebe mentioned Brian Glenn. There was an interesting other aspect of this, which is that... where is it here? Yeah, so Brian Glenn, who, let me just make sure I get this right. I believe I got it right. Doesn't he date Marjorie Taylor Greene? I like to be very careful, factually on things. Yeah, it's his girlfriend. They're a couple. Right, they're a couple. So Brian Glenn posted on his social media on November 15th. And this is, if I have the timing right, President Trump posted his post initially saying President Trump posted on November 14th, on Friday night, that he was not supporting Marjorie Taylor Greene anymore. Now, Brian Glenn is in a relationship with romantic relationship with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, it's interesting because Brian Glenn, those of you who watch on this channel or others, we sometimes cover live events at the White House where President Trump takes questions. He is a reporter who often is called on by President Trump to ask questions at the White House. I would say it's no secret that usually those are friendly questions towards President Trump. But anyways, he is someone who in recent months has been at the White House a lot asking questions, and President Trump calls on him a lot. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because a whole other aspect of this, which is quite interesting, is to see Brian Glenn actually posted the day after President Trump said he was not supporting Marjorie Taylor Greene anymore. Brian Glenn posted and said, "I love this woman. I love this country. God bless America." So that's interesting. Anyways, I'm trying to I just point this out because somebody mentioned it in the chat, and it is another aspect of this whole story. So it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Chris N says messy. So we'll see how this all develops. The whole President Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Is it fair to call it a feud right now? And just to be clear also, it's not just, she has not just disagreed with him about the Epstein stuff. If I can quickly call up something here. MAGA rift grows as Trump feuds with Greene before key 2026 midterm elections. This is from AP. You can see in happier times. That's them in happier times in March. There they are. That's when Trump addressed Congress and she was wearing a Trump was right about everything hat. So you can see in recent weeks, Greene has escalated her criticism of Trump's focus on foreign policy over what she has said should be an agenda that concentrates on Americans, as well as his reluctance to release more documents involving the Epstein case. All right, so again, it's not she hasn't just disagreed with him on Epstein. XZX says it's like watching a soap opera. I worry that if the whole broadcast will get sidetracked. If we continue focusing on just that, it's going to sidetrack the whole broadcast. So I want to bring things back. Our viewer 3D first person thinks Trump should apologize to her. Thanks to I Am Charlie for your support. I Am Charlie says, Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, rhinos fool around, find out. Thanks, Ed Weeby, for the membership. Thanks, Victoria Neeson, who says, wonder if she's getting more security. Thanks, Victoria, for being a member. Thanks, Pops1 for being a member. Jason Vitello for being a member. House of Stitches. I think I thanked House of Stitches, but thanks again. Okay. Jonathan Morris says, kiss and make up. Walken in OSF says, at least send her flowers. Okay. So hang on a moment here. I need to just check if I have any updates. While we're talking about that, I don't want to miss other updates. Just give me 2 seconds here. We have a bunch to talk about. You might want to talk about some of the Charlotte stuff going on with ICE there as well. Or, yeah, ICE is there. Or has been there for a couple days. And I'll be checking your messages too. We'll read more of your comments. Again, according to Fox News, a Fox News reporter, the vote on Epstein files tomorrow will be at 3:15 p.m. Just Data writes in and says a lot of folks missed Trump saying mid-2026 for tariff rebate checks. I had heard, we have to watch what he said. I haven't watched yet his appearance today. I heard he maybe said something about that, but also I would be careful because he might have claimed that that these rebate checks are coming out at a certain time. I don't know that he has the unilateral power to just do this. So I would need to check in on that. For example, I'm reading an article here by, where is this article from originally? Yeah, so for example, CNN said that Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, said on Fox News, on Fox News's Sunday Morning Futures, that the $2,000 tariff rebate checks that Trump has proposed would require congressional approval. And he also says, we will see about it, the Treasury Secretary. I want to talk about Venezuela in a second. I just want to show you a little more about the Epstein files vote. Let's just talk about that for just a second more, just because that is coming up. Hang on a quick moment here. I want to show you this. Oops, give me a second. Give me one moment. Give me one moment. Okay, oops. I'm hearing noise. Okay, so the Washington Post has an article right now. Trump says he would sign measure to release Epstein files if it comes to him. It is unclear whether the Senate would take up the measure if the House passes it. So they have this recent update on the whole situation. So let me just mention some of that. So again, the Post says, President Trump said today that he would sign a measure that would require the Justice Department to release information about its investigation into convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein as support builds for the legislation a day before the House of Representatives is scheduled to vote on it. Trump's remarks reinforced a sharp reversal he made last night when he called on House Republicans to support the measure after resisting such a move for weeks. After days of scrutiny over his personal ties to Epstein, Trump, now the Post thinks that Trump is sought to redirect attention to the disgraced financiers' relationships with prominent Democrats. In the Oval Office today, Trump said, we'll give them everything. He said, but don't talk about it too much because honestly, I don't want to take it away from us. It's really a Democrat problem. We're going to look at what he said at the Oval Office in a little bit. Now, the Washington Post says, I know people in the chat have been talking about this. The Post in their article says, President Trump has the authority himself to direct the Justice Department to release the documents in its possession, as he previously has already done with documents related to the government investigations into the assassinations of the Kennedys and Martin Luther King Jr. So according to that, he could just tell him to do it. The Post says Trump did not explain why he has not taken that step, and the White House did not respond to questions about why the release is contingent, depends on a vote from Congress. The measure could face hurdles in the Senate, says the Post. It is not clear whether Senate Majority Leader Thune, Republican, would bring the measure up for a vote, and the Republican Majority Whip John Barrasso was non-committal yesterday on Meet the Press. Okay? And actually, just to show you this, Chuck Schumer posted this. Actually, is this about Trump or is this about... Yes. So Chuck Schumer last night, Senate Minority Leader. So Manu Raju had posted, Manu Raju, reporter, had posted that Trump had reversed his position and now was calling for the House last night to saying that House Republicans should vote to release the files. Chuck Schumer posted, the vote is to compel you, Trump, to release them. Let's make this easier. Just release the files now. That's what Chuck Schumer said last night to Trump. Hang on a second here. Several Epstein files have been increasing the pressure campaign on lawmakers. A group released a video Sunday night to urge people to call their lawmakers to back the vote to release more files. And something else important that the Post points out in their article, Trump has not been accused of wrongdoing or taking part in Epstein's sex trafficking operations. And he has denied knowing about the solicitation of underage prostitution before Epstein's 2008 plea. And just something else I want to mention, because I said it earlier, Annie Carney, who's the congressional reporter for the New York Times, she reports, she believes that it is a likely unanimous vote tomorrow by the House to release the files. Unanimous. Everybody, Republicans and Democrats, she thinks will vote for it because she said, and she backed up this opinion by saying that Troy Nehls, who is a member of Congress, Troy Nehls, who previously had been a hard no on voting yes on this, Troy Nehls is a Republican representative from Texas. And Troy Nehls, who had previously been a hard no to vote to release the files, he said that he would today, he said that now that he will vote yes on it. So yes, bipartisan, as our viewer West Frank says. So we could have an overwhelming vote, maybe even a unanimous vote in the House tomorrow to release the Epstein files. That'd be quite something. It would also be quite something if there was some bipartisan overwhelming vote in the House to release the files, and then the Senate just never voted on it. I would think there'll be some political pressure, but that's a whole other thing coming up. Remember, for months, there was this question of whether the House was going to vote on it. And finally, there were enough members in the House who signed this petition to force a vote on the House, in the House over it. I'm not aware of any kind of petition like that happening in the Senate, or if there's a possibility of it. I haven't heard it. So I believe right now that the Senate leadership, the Republican leadership, would need to approve having a vote on it in the House, in the Senate. Whew, wow, so much going on with this one thing. So we're going to have a lot of coverage of this tomorrow. Let me take some comments on this. Now, Callie Raven says Trump has a veto he can use, but the veto can be overridden, right, with a 2/3. Don't you need to override a veto? I think you need 2/3 of each house. Congress, the National Archives says Congress can override a veto by passing the act by a 2/3 vote. In both the House and the Senate. So it looks like it's going to be over 2/3 in the House. I don't know about the Senate. DRC Racing Garage says he won't use the veto. Look, we just told you, we were just talking about this. President Trump said today that he would sign the measure if the House and Senate passed the bill. Now, that doesn't mean he will, but he said today he would. Sarah Brown says a veto would look sus. Chris Tadlock says if they don't pass it, they look guilty. Paula Thompson says, what reason would someone have to be against releasing them? Artist Caverland says, why wouldn't John Thune vote yes? Mon says a veto would be 1,000% sus. Messi says the victims deserve justice. And also... one of our viewers, Justizen, says Trump saying he wants to release them and then vetoing it would make no sense. Buckley 731 thinks the files will be meaningless. Lou Knight says maybe it just means it's so heavily redacted now that he knows it doesn't mention him anymore. Will it simply be, as always, heavily redacted? David Karshen, our viewer, thinks they're going to say it's an ongoing investigation, so we can't show everything. So we are going to be covering this tomorrow. Big day of coverage tomorrow. Because again, the vote is supposed to be tomorrow afternoon. There's supposed to be a 9 a.m. press conference, I think 9 a.m. with Marjorie Taylor Greene and other members of Congress about the Epstein files. There's a lot going on. If we have a chance today, I also have some video. There was a press conference that lawyer Gloria Allred, I believe, gave with one of the Epstein victims today. I don't want to show that right now. But maybe later we'll watch some of it. To repeat, Trump is... I don't know the status of this. Trump is supposed to deliver remarks at the McDonald's Impact Summit at around 6 p.m. today. Now, as of right now... hold on a second here. I don't know if the White House is going to be broadcasting that. I don't have access to it through just because of restrictions. I won't have access to that through the news agencies I pay for feeds, I don't think. But the White House may show it. So I would certainly want to check that out if it goes live, but we'll have to just keep an eye out for it. But he also spoke in the Oval Office today and took some questions. So I wouldn't mind showing you some of that. But we'll keep an eye. We'll look at that. But I'll keep an eye out for the live event, and we'll see what happens. Let me see here. Hold on one second here.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Yeah, I'll just have to wait and see if the White House is broadcasting it. I don't know if the White House will be carrying it. They might be. I don't know. And then, as I mentioned, Nicolas Maduro is supposed to speak, have a media appearance. President Maduro of Venezuela. He is supposed to speak around 6 p.m. in Spanish, but maybe we'll check that out. I'm supposed to have live video of that. Okay. All right. We'll come back to Trump. We're going to be on Trump. I want to talk about Venezuela. We haven't talked about Venezuela yet. We haven't talked about Venezuela. So let's talk about that. Is there going to be military action in Venezuela? Here's an article, by the way, from today from the Washington Post. Trump considers talks with Venezuela's Maduro amid U.S. military buildup. Our viewer, by the way, Girth Brooks, says, both parties are guilty. Stop showing allegiance to people that don't or will never care about you. Hey, thanks, by the way, to Jennifer Rochelle and Michael Avery, our our members. Thank you so much. Thank you, Zillzone, for your support. Zillzone thinks Trump is bluffing, and Zillzone thinks some will vote no in the House and Senate. Curious who will decide to sacrifice their career for the regime, says Zillzone. Thanks also to Mr. Saturn. I can't answer your question. It's a video gaming question. It sounds like, Mr. Saturn. I do not have the expertise, but thank you, Mr. Saturn. Thank you also, Metal Seer, our new member. Chris the Toffee, our member. Thank you, Don, for your support. Thank you, Louis Belmont Walkthroughs, who says, Trump's behavior against members of Congress cannot be tolerated. I think Louis Belmont show is referring to the Trump remarks about Marjorie Taylor Greene we talked about earlier, or at least in part referring to that. Thank you for that. Also, I want to shout out Oxytropis on Twitch for your support. And let's thank our moderators again who allow us to have chat rooms. Big Ball of Yarn, Good Luck Duck, Idaho Star over on Twitch. Big thanks. Over on Facebook, thanks to Kay Lowry Body moderating over there, Shannon Davis Hughes, Margaret Riley. Thanks to Amy Cluck for your support. Thanks also to Rebecca Davis for being a member over there, Lou Knight and Chuck Mosca over there on Facebook. Thanks for being subscribers. I said members, subscribers. Thank you for subscribing over there. And also thanks to our moderators over on Linda Belk, Larry, Misha on X, and Ruth Krafasi, Roberts May Queen, Leslie Lady Hawk moderating over there on YouTube. All right, let's talk about Venezuela. We haven't talked about it yet. What's going to happen with Venezuela? What is going to happen? You can see Trump considers talks with Venezuela's Maduro amid U.S. military buildup. Is he really considering talks? Is he just throwing this out there? Has it been decided already? Your guess is as good as mine. President Trump said yesterday he is considering talks with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro as a buildup of U.S. forces in the region raises the prospect of military action in Venezuela, says the Washington Post. The suggestion of potential diplomatic outreach comes after weeks of escalating tensions in the Caribbean. The U.S. has deployed an armada of warships, and I believe it's now 15,000 troops, I believe it is, to the region, conducted lethal attacks on alleged drug trafficking boats, authorized covert CIA actions, and threatened land attacks in Venezuela. Speaking to reporters last night, Trump said Venezuela would like to talk and that the U.S. may be having some discussions with Maduro, Venezuela's strongman president, whom Trump has accused of leading a narcotics organization, the Cartel de los Soles, sending drugs to the U.S. Oh, speaking about that, the State Department, I'll get to that in one paragraph here. In a statement Sunday, which I'll show you, the State Department said it intends to designate Cartel de los Soles, which it alleges is headed by Maduro, as a foreign terrorist organization effective November 24th. The designation, which the administration has used for other Venezuelan groups, such as Tren de Aragua, would raise pressure on Maduro by further financially isolating people connected to Cartel de los Soles. You know, I think it was Jennifer Griffin from Fox News who posted that some people are looking at this November 24th date as interesting now. Hang on, if I can find her post here. I thought I read it earlier from her. Jennifer Griffin wrote today from Fox News, the foreign terrorist designation goes into effect on November 24th, a date that now has the attention of military and legal observers who suggest that once that happens, the Pentagon has a legal justification to militarily strike Venezuela, because the Trump administration is linking Maduro to the soon-to-be designated terror group Cartel de los Soles. So she says some people are looking at that date as a big date, November 24th. High-level U.S. officials, including Vice President Vance, Defense Secretary Hegseth, Joint Chiefs Chairman Kaine, Secretary of State Rubio, and Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, have been holding discussions on whether and how to strike Venezuela, the Post reported last week. Trump said in a briefing Sunday night that his administration has been communicating some of its thoughts on Venezuela to Congress, but he does not have to get their approval to act. On Friday, Trump said that he had sort of made up my mind about how he would proceed with the possibility of military action. Earlier in the day, an administration official told the Post a host of options had been presented to the president. The Post also points out any strike on Venezuelan territory would upend the president's past promises to avoid new conflicts and further complicate U.S. ties with other Latin American countries. For some Latin American governments, the Trump administration's recent actions in the region have revived memories of 20th century U.S. aggression, from military invasion and occupation to the covert overthrow of disfavored governments. Oh, yes. The current buildup of U.S. forces in the Caribbean includes about a dozen Navy warships, a special operations vessel, and a nuclear-powered attack submarine. The aircraft carrier USS Gerald R. Ford, recently arrived in the Caribbean, bringing 3 more warships and more than 4,000 additional troops. Wow. So, sorry, I normally don't read that much at once, but I thought there's a bunch of interesting information there as background. So what do you think is going to happen here with Venezuela? I should also show you the Defense Department statement from yesterday as well, and then take some of your comments on this. Oh, I think it's called Department of War when I look it up now. Department of War, where is news releases? I have it, I have the release in an email. I'm just seeing if they might have posted it. Advisories? News stories? I might have to pull it up from my email. Where is it here? Let's see, Rubio's meeting. There's that. I'm looking through my email. They probably posted it too. For some reason, I can't find it right this second. Anyways, I'll have to pull it up for you. They didn't post it on their website that I saw. Did they maybe post it on their X account? Let's see. Well, now I can't find it. Why? I don't know. Let me take some comments from you guys. Sorry, I really would like to find this thing. If I knew I was going to show it to you, I would have pulled it out beforehand. Check one more thing here. Rubio, War Department. Can't find it. Is it fun watching me search for an email? I found it. I found it. I did find it, guys. Hey, guys, I found it. I found what I was looking for. So there you go. It was all worth it to watch me look for an email. I found the website post. I don't know. I couldn't find it before. Oh, it's Department of State, not Department of War. Well, that's my mistake. All right. This is it. This is what I was looking for. This is from yesterday. U.S. Department of State. Terrorist designations of Cartel de los Soles from Marco Rubio. The Department of State intends to designate Cartel de los Soles as a foreign terrorist organization effective November 24th, 2025. Is that a significant date here? With military action? I don't know. Based in Venezuela, the Cartel de los Soles is headed by Nicolas Maduro and other high-ranking individuals of the illegitimate Maduro regime who have corrupted Venezuela's military, intelligence, legislature, and judiciary. Neither Maduro nor his cronies represent Venezuela's legitimate government. Cartel de los Soles and with other Cartel de los Soles, by and with other designated foreign terrorist organizations, including Tren de Aragua and the Sinaloa cartel, are responsible for terrorist violence throughout our hemisphere, as well as for trafficking drugs into the United States and Europe. The U.S. will continue using all available tools to protect our national security interests and deny funding and resources to narco-terrorists. Don P., our viewer, thinks military action will happen during the Epstein files vote tomorrow. Oh, what day is Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving is the 27th. Patrick thinks this almost screams to a larger front than just Venezuela. Well, he did refer, I think, today in the Oval Office he talked about Mexico and Colombia some. I think we need to just watch that. We'll watch that shortly. We might have to do another poll. James Woodcock thinks military action against Venezuela will start on Black Friday. Let's just do a poll. Will Trump take military action in Venezuela? That's our poll question. I just asked it on YouTube, and I'm going to post it on Twitch right now. Gavin House says they do have a lot of oil, coincidentally. So again, Trump is going to be speaking around 6 p.m. in D.C. I don't know if the White House is going to be carrying that. If they are carrying it, I'll show it to you. I don't know yet. Oh, sorry. Hold on. One of our viewers says already started. Are you saying the military action has already started? All right, let's show you guys the poll result. I said, will Trump take military action in Venezuela? %66% on YouTube say yes. Space Fraggle thinks Trump has already backed down from attacking? Let's see. On Twitch, it is 67. It's the same on both. 67% on both. It's the exact same. Wow. On Twitch and YouTube, say 2/3 of you say Trump will take military action in Venezuela. One of our viewers said, why wait a week? Tasty Cran says, I hope I'm wrong. Everything else says, why wait a week? Blighttown says, I voted no, but I'm optimistic. The sentient NPC thinks the CIA is already pulling the strings inside Venezuela now. Chuck House says the motor is already running. Callie Raven thinks, Jess, it's just a matter of time. Dean R says overt or covert. Well, I guess I meant overt. Something that we would know about. Mario says it's going to be his Noriega. String Theory thinks it will be over by the 24th. Zardos thinks after the 24th. Thanks for voting in our poll. Lonely Reject says, I am more surprised it has not started yet. Remember that aircraft carrier only recently got to the Caribbean, I believe, just in the last couple days. All right, hang on a moment here. Hang on a moment here. JF, said, our viewer says, I hope he doesn't, but I think he will. For those who are keeping an eye on Bitcoin, it is back up to 92,200 or so after being below 92,000 a short while ago. Now that's way down from recent days, but for people wondering, I just checked it myself to see. We're keeping an eye on that. Hang on a moment. So I'll be keeping an eye out for both Maduro and Trump speaking around 6. And if Maduro is speaking, we can show that. But that's going to be in Spanish. See, this was being reported at the end of last week. This is a report from Friday from Reuters. Trump officials hold meetings on Venezuela as military tensions rise. And you can see the report said, this was from Friday, senior Trump administration officials have held 3 meetings at the White House this week to discuss possible options for possible military operations in Venezuela. Again, that's a story from Reuters that was on Friday, that senior Trump administration officials have held 3 meetings at the White House last week to discuss possible military operations in Venezuela. Earlier last week, the Gerald Ford aircraft carrier strike group moved into the Latin America region, bringing with it more than 75 military aircraft and over 5,000 troops, adding to what was already there. Four U.S. officials and a source familiar with the matter told Reuters that Homeland Security Council meetings took place last week, with 3 officials confirming one of those was on Friday. The Homeland Security Council advises the president on issues related to Homeland Security and would normally be chaired by Stephen Miller, Trump's Homeland Security advisors. One of the officials said a small group met on last Wednesday, followed on Thursday of last week, just a few days ago, by a much larger meeting that included Vice President Vance, Secretary of Defense Hegseth, and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, among others. The source familiar with the matter said Trump attended the Thursday meeting just a few days ago in the Situation Room and was briefed on a number of options. What's going to have? JD63 says, don't fall for it, Steve. Do you mean you think there's not going to be military action there? I don't know if there will be. I mean, we're hearing a lot. My view of this stuff is it's the same. It's the same. I was thinking with Russia before it invaded Ukraine. I mean, there's a lot of U.S. forces in the region. There's an enormous amount of U.S. forces in the region. I believe 15,000 troops now. You have all of these ships that were there before, these warships, and now a carrier strike group is there. You don't do that for nothing. That's not a guarantee it will happen, but that's not something that happens lightly. You don't do that for nothing. That's a lot to do if you're just bluffing and you're just trying to, that's the basic idea to me. It's a lot to just be bluffing. Space Case says gunboat diplomacy. Eamon O'Leary says, I thought Trump was going to keep us out of wars. Chaz Martin thinks there will be 100% military conflict if Maduro doesn't surrender right away. He's done this kind of thing before, G450. He's done this kind of military buildup before. I don't know about that. There was actually a good... Can I find this? There was a nice article talking about the forces in the region. Hold on. Let me see if I have access to this article, because that would be good to show you. And that was before the... I don't have access right now. I'm going to see if I can get access to it. And if I can, I'll show it to you. Oh, I know. It might actually be here. Wait a second. Give me one moment. Give me one moment. I might have this. I have it. I have it right here. So I think this is this before the carrier group came? This is from the Washington Post. This is from November 1st. Oh yeah, this is the whole thing. Look at this. This is really interesting. This is from the Washington Post. U.S. military assets deployed to the Caribbean in recent weeks. It's from an article. The article is, these are the U.S. ships and aircraft massing off of Venezuela. Now at this point, the carrier group is there. I don't know if all of those ships are with the Gerald R. Ford. I'm not positive because this came out on November 1st. But I do know a number of ships are with the Gerald R. Ford. Mitchell Pilot thinks he's had buildups like this before, but not for Southcom. Are you saying like for Iran? You're saying? Thanks, Mitchell Pilot. Thanks, I Am Charlie as well. I Am Charlie thinks this is not war, surgical strikes. All right, so, I did see a post about this today, about what's actually there. Hold on a moment. Wait one moment. President Trump is is about to ride to downtown D.C. to give a speech, which I don't know if we'll have access to. Excuse me. So I'm keeping an eye out for that. Yes, Dan Lamothe, he says the Mahan is there, the Bainbridge is there, Winston Churchill is there. Is the Mitcher there? Okay, so according to Dan Lamothe, these three are all there now with the Gerald Ford. Dan Lamothe, I think, is with the Washington Post. Yes. So, the Gerald R. Ford is there now. Aircraft carrier. The guided missile destroyer USS Mahan is there, is in the Caribbean now. The USS Winston Churchill guided missile destroyer is in the Caribbean now. And the Bainbridge is there now. And all these four ships here on the top, so forget about the Forrest Sherman and the Mitcher, all of these four, the aircraft carrier and the three destroyers, three guided missile destroyers, they all entered the Caribbean over the weekend, according to Dan Lamothe of the Washington Post. And then in addition to that, all this stuff was already in the Caribbean, all of these. Iwo Jima amphibious assault ship. San Antonio amphibious transport dock. 3 more guided missile destroyers. 2 guided missile cruisers. A littoral that's coastal, I think that's a landing ship, combat ship, and a nuclear-powered attack submarine. Also, all of these air assets. And more on the bottom, you can't even see it. Special Operations Forces on the bottom. I can barely pull them up here. Can't even fit them all on the screen. See at the bottom, it says Special Operations Forces. Danny G says, not enough for an invasion. Floating Special Operations Base. Jan Porter says, he's doing something. Anyway, so I thought that was interesting. That layout of all of that, those assets there. Jay Gibbons says, overkill. Pam Bachman says, massive buildup sounds like. All right, so we're certainly going to be keeping an eye on what's going on there. Are we going to have access to President Trump's speech? This I still don't know. If not, maybe we'll watch what he said in the Oval Office today. Sharon Keith says show of force. Rich says overwhelming force. Carlos is watching from Portugal. Lockie's, our viewer, says Republican not starting a war challenge impossible? One of our viewers, Snow Panther, says just for drugs, right. LOL. Built Town says Trump bombed Iran and no war broke out, to be fair. Sandy Doggo says another war for oil. The world is going to turn on USA. Okay, so hang on a moment here. It's too bad that, I still don't know. I don't see the White House live yet. It's too bad that I don't yet have access to, I don't know if I'll have access to, Trump is doing this event. He's speaking in D.C. But it's all network pool right now. So I can't use the network pool. I wonder if the White House is just going to carry this. It's very possible that in a few minutes the White House will go live to carry the Trump speech, but I don't know. Would they carry him speaking at the McDonald's, what's it called? Something or other? It was on the White House schedule for today. I'm trying to go back and grab from last night where exactly he's speaking. He is doing a speech. It was on the White House press schedule. In-town travel pool. The president delivers remarks at McDonald's Impact Summit. The McDonald's Impact Summit. Waltham says Impact Summit. Yes. So, sorry, I'm just looking to see if the White House might go live. Because again, I can't show you, I don't have the rights to the DC pool. All right, so I'm keeping an eye on that the next couple of minutes. And also Maduro is supposed to speak in the next few minutes in Spanish. Zellzone says NBC was going live in 5 minutes. They have the pool, though, coverage. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I think maybe the White House will go live. But again, I can't just steal everything off the internet. I can only use what I have the rights to. Hey, thanks to Jeff Buddington for your support. I really appreciate that. And I am Charlie. Thank you so much. KP, our member. Josh Shakalaka. Corey Falcon. We are doing one of our news roundup streams where we talk about a bunch of different topics. Most of the time we are talking about one topic, but today there were several things that I wanted to talk about, which I think are big stories, but not one dominant one that's going on like live right this second. Now tomorrow we will again be covering the House vote to release the Epstein files, which is supposed to be in the afternoon. Also, there's supposed to be a press conference in the morning about the Epstein files with Marjorie Taylor Greene and other members of Congress. I believe that's at 9 Eastern time. So I definitely am planning on covering the press conference and the House vote. It's possible we would just stay on the air. I mean, that's a long stream, but we might just stay on the air if other stuff is going on. So I'll have to see how all that plays out tomorrow. And when is we also might cover when is Mohammed bin Salman, the leader of Saudi Arabia, when is he visiting the White House? Is that tomorrow? Is that going on tomorrow? It's this week. When is that? Tomorrow. That's tomorrow. So President Trump, I'm guessing will be doing an appearance with him. So that's the leader of Saudi Arabia. And then, speaking of which, hold on. So I was going to cover that, but we might just be on the air anyway. Speaking of news, Trump says he will sell F-35s to Saudi Arabia on eve of Crown Prince's Washington visit. That happened today. President Trump said today, says AP, that he will sell F-35 fighter jets to Saudi Arabia despite some concern within the administration that such a sale could lead to China gaining access to the U.S. technology behind the advanced weapons system. The announcement came on the eve of Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's highly anticipated Washington visit, his first to the U.S. in more than 7 years. I will say that we will be doing that, Trump said, when asked if he would sell the jets to Saudi Arabia. We'll be selling F-35s. The Crown Prince had been expected to arrive with a wish list that includes receiving formal assurances from Trump defining the scope of the U.S. military protection for the kingdom and an agreement to buy U.S.-made F-35 fighter jets, one of the world's most advanced aircraft. However, the Republican administration has been wary about upsetting Israel's qualitative military edge over its neighbors, especially at a time when Trump is depending on Israeli support for the success of his Gaza peace plan. Another long-standing concern, which also derailed a potential similar sale to the UAE, is that the F-35's technology could be stolen or somehow transferred to China, which has close ties to both the UAE and Saudi Arabia, according to 3 administration officials. The Saudis and China last month held joint naval exercises hosted by Saudi Arabia, and Beijing in 2023 helped mediate an agreement between Saudi Arabia and Iran to reopen their embassies and exchange ambassadors amid ongoing tensions. So that's happening. An expert, Bradley Bowman, senior director of the Center on Military and Political Power at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, said Congress could press the administration to detail what assurances Saudi Arabia has given the White House about its relationship with China. He added the White House is likely also to face questions about plans to ensure that Israel maintains its qualitative military edge. The announcement by Trump it comes at a moment when he's trying to persuade Saudi Arabia and Israel to normalize relations. All right, so that's going on. I don't see the White House live yet, guys. But the White House if the White House is covering this speech that Trump is supposed to give shortly, they might go live right beforehand. No, the White House is not live at the moment. So I don't know if they're covering his speech. Rich thinks it's a nothing burger that the U.S. will sell F-35s to Saudi Arabia. Our viewer, Rich. Bob Sacamino thinks the next president can easily cancel this deal due to long delivery times. Gavin House thinks it's 10-year-old tech already. Casey Veteran US says China will have access to their technology. Another example of Trump not understanding national security. Bent Bamboo sent me a purported quote from the New York Times about Trump-related real estate projects in Saudi Arabia. So I'm waiting to see right now, again, it's hard to be repeating myself, but around now, Trump is going to be doing a speech at the McDonald's Impact Summit in Washington, D.C. It's possible I will have access to the video. It depends on whether the White House shows it. So I can't just steal the video. So I'm keeping an eye on that. And if I get access to it, I'm going to put it on the screen. But I don't know. And with the White House going live, sometimes they will go live right as events are about to start. But sometimes they'll go live before, and they haven't gone live for this. So if they don't, what I think we're going to do is I want to look at what Trump had to say. He took some questions in the Oval Office today. Oh, also Maduro is supposed to speak soon in Spanish. So I got to keep an eye on that. Ronald Kame thinks his speech will turn into another campaign speech. Hey, thanks Grim Reaper for being a member. All right, so let me keep an eye on that. Sorry, I'm just, I don't want to miss it if it starts. I want to find out either way. And what happened here? Why did this get all switched? I had everything on my TV to keep an eye on it, and that all got messed up. So let me fix that so I can keep an eye on things over there. Fox News says, awaiting Trump. Hold on a second here. Awaiting Trump Impact Summit remarks, I think Fox News says. Where is this? Why can't I find it? There it is. Okay. I'm just getting set up so I can keep an eye on things here. Trump Impact Summit remarks coming up, says Fox News. There were some other things I wanted to mention too. If we get a chance, we should talk about I'd like to talk about the Mexico protest a little bit. That was an interesting thing. Oh, we should talk about Charlotte as well. There have been a bunch of immigration enforcement actions in Charlotte recently. I wonder if I have any video of that I can show you. Let me check that as well. Hold on a moment here. Hold on a moment. I see some people coming on stage there in D.C., so we'll know soon enough if we have. You can see Border Patrol arrests over 130 in first hours of Charlotte immigration operation. There have been a bunch of videos coming out from there. Space Fraggle says, I live in North Carolina. All right, hold on. We're going to know very soon, I think, if the White House is covering this event. In the meantime, We'll talk about Charlotte for a second. You can see Reuters says over 130 people suspected of being in the U.S. illegally have been detained in Charlotte, North Carolina, authorities said Monday, as President Trump's nationwide mass deportation campaign ramped up in the South. Rob Brisley, a Customs and Border Protection spokesman, said Border Patrol agents had arrested over 130 people this weekend in Charlotte during the first 2 days of the federal operation targeting undocumented migrants. He said, "We will not stop enforcing the laws of our nation until every criminal illegal alien is arrested and removed from our country. It is not clear when the operation will end." The mayor of Charlotte said to everyone in Charlotte who is feeling anxious or fearful, "You are not alone. Your city stands with you." Charlotte has seen peaceful protests in response to the crackdown. And videos of arrests have been posted across social media, including one showing masked agents smashing a pickup window and dragging a man out. Some Latino-run businesses closed over the weekend and remained shuttered Monday in Charlotte. Charlotte is one of the fastest growing areas in the U.S. Our viewer Bardowski says, "I live in Charlotte. Nobody here is worried except the criminals." That's what Bardowski says. Rich says, "When is he going to Houston?" Buddha says, "An ICE invasion from within our country, that is the problem." Old School Dad thinks New Orleans is next. I might have a video I can show you. Hold on a second here. That's not much. AP says immigration enforcement surge begins in Charlotte. Oh, this right here, this image shows, I saw some of this video. It's a U.S. Border Patrol agents approach two men hanging lights in Charlotte. That's another video of Border Patrol agents. I should download this so I can show you. That's a photo. And that's a man after officers broke his window. So I think there's reporting that guy was a citizen. I should pull that up for you. Oh, here's the thing about the front yard right here. In East Charlotte, from AP says this, two workers were hanging Christmas lights in Reba Hamilton's front yard in the morning when two Customs and Border Patrol agents walked up. One tried to speak to the workers in Spanish, she said. They did not respond, and the agents left without making arrests. She said, "This is real disconcerting, but the main thing is we've got two human beings in my yard trying to make a living. They've broken no laws, and that's what concerns me." She recorded the encounter on her cell phone. She said, she's 73, she said, the owner of the house, I guess it's the owner, said believes it's an abuse of all of our laws. It's unlike anything I've imagined I would see in my lifetime. Amid reports of the crackdown, she had suggested the work be postponed, but the contractor decided to go ahead. Half an hour later, he's in our yard, he's working, and Border Patrol rolls up, she says. They're here because they were looking for easy pickings. There was nobody here with TV cameras, nobody here protesting. There's just two guys working in a yard and an old white lady with white hair sitting on her porch drinking her coffee. Maybe I can show you those photos close up. I can show you them here. Hold on a second. Mr. Bigley Uncredible says it's an abuse of laws to talk to someone and not arrest them? I don't have the video. The video is floating around the web, but I'll show you a couple of photos from that encounter that AP posted. in the front yard there. So here's one of the photos right here. Then there's another one. Looks like just a, suburban yard. Manchester is red forever said, ask the guy who they dragged out of the car who was a U.S. citizen. I do want to mention that. That's a whole other story. Methaboral says, speaking Spanish is not a crime. The White House is live. We're going to watch Trump speak right now. We're going to watch Trump speak. Hey, maybe he'll comment on some of these things we've been talking about. Look, Trump is about to deliver remarks. Bonus coverage. So we're going to watch him speak, and we'll see. Maybe he'll comment on Venezuela or on Epstein or on Charlotte or about something else. Who knows? But Trump is about to speak, and we are going to have it live. Well, there you go. I'm glad we're going to be able to show you this. You know what I'm sorry about is normally when we do one of these news roundup live streams, I change the headline as I'm talking about different stories, and I just forgot to do it. So the same headline has been up there as I've been talking about these different stories. Anyways, Trump speaks live in D.C. at McDonald's Impact Summit. All right, so we'll see. I don't know what he could talk about. All kinds of things. He could talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene. You never know. But there's all this stuff going on, so we'll see what he has to say. Hey, thanks so much to Kevin Dingwall from Scotland, from Aberdeen. That's so nice of you, Kevin. I really appreciate that. Thanks for watching from there. That's really kind of you. All right, so we're waiting for this. Now I can see the live. He's not, I mean, as soon as he starts, they'll go live. But I'm watching another feed and the stage, they have the camera on the stage. I can confirm he is not speaking live yet. There is a background behind the podium with the with a number of McDonald's logos, and it says nationally loved, locally owned. The McDonald's Impact Summit. Reuters says that Trump is going to talk about the economy. Reuters says President Trump will meet today with owners, operators, and suppliers of fast food chain McDonald's to tout his administration's efforts to drive down living costs. That's interesting. Hold on. I just saw this from Reuters. They say that Trump, who promised during his election campaign to bring down costs, insists that his administration's tax cuts and steps to reshore domestic manufacturing will help boost Americans' real income and spur growth. Still, he has conceded of late that it could take time for those measures to kick in. But again, Trump is going to be talking about the economy in this. Also, Reuters says Trump does not plan to unveil any new initiatives at this McDonald's event. He will instead focus on steps taken by his administration to boost Americans' buying power, including tax cuts and moves to lower drug prices and reshore domestic manufacturing. He will also address efforts to help small businesses. So this is going to be about the economy. Meanwhile, Bitcoin right now is at 92,000, roughly 92,000. The stock market was down today, generally, in the U.S. So any moment now, I think it's about to start. I have the live feed on. All right, Trump is coming out now. So there it is. Here it is right now.
Donald J. Trump.
Here it is. All right, hold on. Oh, we got to get the music off. I got to get the music off. Let me get the music off. Hold on. Music is off. All right. I don't have the rights to God Bless the USA. All right. So here is Trump. We're going to watch him speak right now at the McDonald's Impact Summit. And they're playing Lee Greenwood. And then after he speaks, we will talk about what he had to say. He is dancing at the McDonald's Summit in front of the McDonald's logos. There he is. Here he is. All right, let me get him. All right, here we go. Let's listen to him.
To turn that phone, that beautiful song off, but let's get to business, right? And I want to congratulate you. You are with an incredible company, and I'm thrilled to be here with the men and the women who are really the heart and soul of one of the greatest, most admired, and most successful companies in the history of the world, frankly, the one and only McDonald's. I've gone there a couple of times. And I'm honored to stand before you as the very first former McDonald's fry cook ever to become president of the United States. And I actually was there for about 30 minutes, and that was 30 minutes longer than Kamala was there, right? Despite her job at McDonald's, that didn't work out too well. And the person at McDonald's that informed us off the record that she never worked there, whoever you are, we appreciate that. That was very nice. But I want to thank, as you know, the famous Sundar and Sergey Brin. These are two guys that own and run a place called Google. They called me the following day after I did that McDonald's little skit, because it wasn't a commercial. You got it for nothing. It was a skit. And they told me that, and I didn't know them. I said, who are they? They own Google. I said, that's pretty good. That's not bad. And that it received more hits than anything else in the history of Google, and that records, it still stands. So congratulations on allowing us to use it, but you made a very good deal as usual. But you know, in the old days, McDonald's and many others would call me to do this kind of a thing, come over and say some words and talk, and they'd pay me millions of dollars. Likewise, they'd do it, they'd call others, only superstars, and they'd pay them millions of dollars to speak. And as president, I'm doing this damn thing for nothing, okay? And you know what? Because it's you, it's an honor to do it, and it's an honor to be here. It really, the job that McDonald's has done is incredible, and that you're doing. But as you may have heard, I'm also one of your all-time most loyal customers. I really am. Well, I think that's good. I'm pretty sure that's good. While other politicians fly around on campaign planes stocked with expensive catering on Trump Force One prior to ascending to Air Force One, which is quite a nice plane also, we served only McDonald's almost every time. On occasion, we couldn't find one, which is pretty hard to believe. We'd go another route. But we really did. You fed us very well. And I even got Bobby Kennedy to eat a Big Mac. And he told me he loved it. He didn't want that publicized. He told me he loved it. I thought it was great. I want to thank McDonald's chairman and CEO, Chris Kemchinsky, who I just met backstage. I guess gave him a little piece of my speech signed. I said, do you want to keep this? You can either hang it, you can give it to somebody, you can throw it away. I don't care. But I don't stay on the speech too long anyway, so usually those speeches aren't too accurate, what I give. But McDonald's USA president is here, Joe Erlinger. Joe, wherever you may be, thank you very much. Thank you, Joe. Good job, along with everyone from the International Franchise Association, which does really fantastic work. You do. I've heard from many people you do a fantastic job. So thanks as well to two former McDonald's operators now serving in Congress, Representative Kevin Hern and Chuck Edwards. Are you here, fellas? Come on, fellas. And they're warriors, those two. They're warriors. Thank you very much. Great job. And, of course, let me thank the people who truly keep the McDonald's magic alive, the incredible franchisees, and you got a lot of them here tonight. Yeah, and you're the heart and soul, and they would tell you that all the time. They tell me that. You carry on the commitment to what Ray Kroc said he wanted from every McDonald's restaurant, perfection. Have you heard that? Perfection. That was very strong. Ray liked to say that if you think small, you'll stay small, and that's why no one thinks bigger than McDonald's, not in your industry, and probably never will. I don't know if anybody can ever catch you. I doubt it. Every single day you feed an incredible 1% of the entire world population, 70 million meals every day. An amazing 1 in 8 Americans works behind the counter of a McDonald's franchise at some point in their lives. Yeah, we heard about that. I heard about that. Wasn't true in that particular case, but for tens of millions of our citizens, the road to the American dream starts beneath the golden arches, beautiful golden arches. So to each and every one of you, thank you and congratulations on 70 years of American greatness. Congratulations. And, I just might add, this is also the golden age of America because we are doing better than we've ever done as a country. Prices are coming down and all of that stuff. And, they talk about different terms for that. But I will tell you that nobody has done what we've done in terms of pricing. We took over a mess. We had the highest, think of it, the highest inflation in the history of our country. They say 48 years it was the history of our country. And now we have normal inflation. We're going to get it a little bit lower, frankly. But we have normal. We've normalized it. We have it down to a low level, but we're going to get it a little bit lower. We want perfection. You always want 1%. I don't know if anybody knows. You don't want 0. 0 can be bad. Then you start going the other route. That's no good either. Then you say, what's worse, deflation or inflation? But we have it almost at the sweet spot, and prices are coming down on different things. One of your groups that you admire, I admire, Walmart, came up last week, and they announced that Thanksgiving this year is 25% less. All of the accoutrements, that Thanksgiving is 25% less than it was last year under Sleepy Joe Biden. So that's a big statement, and others have followed up by saying just about that. And to your leader, when we met, I said, how are you doing with prices? Prices are coming down. He said, we were up 40% because of Biden and inflation, and they're coming down, and they're coming down rapidly. So I hope that all continues to go, but we're really doing well as a country. Most importantly, however, I will tell you, big picture, we have over $17 trillion being invested in our country in 9 months. It's now just about ready to crack 18, and by the end of 1 year, we will have about $20 to $21 trillion invested in our country. That's more by 10 times the highest amount ever invested in any country ever before. And it's largely because of tariffs and, I think, November 5th election. But it's the largest amount as an example. So if we have 20 or 21 in 1 year, 21 trillion, think of what that is. That's car factories, that's AI, it's everything. They're all coming back because of the tariffs. They're all coming back because they don't want to pay 15, 20, 30, 100% tariff. It wasn't that complicated. People are saying, you know, Trump was right. It really wasn't that complicated, but it's been amazing. As an example, if you take me at 20 for 1 year, Sleepy Joe Biden, you know what he was? Less than 1 for 4 years. And if they got elected, they would have been at -10 because people were moving out of the country in record numbers, and welfare and other charges were increasing at levels that nobody has ever seen before. So you would have had double and maybe 50%, maybe literally more than they've ever seen. Welfare was going up. Everything was going up. Government jobs were going up. Real jobs were going down. So you would have had that catastrophe. And on top of it, instead of 20 trillion coming in, you would have had 10 trillion leaving our country. In other words, you would have had a catastrophe. You probably would have had a bankrupt country. You are so damn lucky that I won that election. I'm telling you. It's true. It's true. It's actually true. I hope the press covers that. You know. Sometimes he got up and he ranted and raved and bragged. I don't brag. I just give you the facts. It's true. But those in this room know the people of our country better than anybody. And before the sun rises, you're up serving hot coffee to construction workers, nurses, and police officers on the way to the job. In the evening, you stand ready with the fast dinner and a smile for busy moms and their children as they race from school to soccer practice. Really is. It's Americana. And late at night, your lights are often the only ones still glowing when the long-haul trucker pulls up for a good meal and a best Coca-Cola in America. Best Coca-Cola. Whoa. And I'll bet they use real sugar in your Coca-Cola. You know, they didn't in the United States. I said to the head of Coca-Cola, you got to go to sugar. They do in other countries. And you know what? They went to sugar. Isn't that nice? I said, you got to go to sugar. Just like I said, why is the Gulf of Mexico called the Gulf of Mexico? I said, we're changing the name. And now it's the Gulf of America. It has nothing to do with McDonald's, but maybe it does, because it's very nice cycle. We have 92% of the shoreline. They have 8%. I wouldn't say I made a lot of friends in Mexico, but they still like me. Wasn't that a good change? Seriously, wasn't that beautiful? And it was done in an instant. You know, it's like, normally you think a thing like that would take years. This took like 10 minutes. I asked somebody, good lawyers in my office, I said, would I be able to change the Gulf of Mexico? Is that possible to the Gulf? Sir, it's been that way for 350 years. You know, they were here 100 years before us. We're 250, they were 350. It's been called the Gulf of Mexico, sir, for 350 years. I said, that's not the question. Am I able to change it? Yes. What do I do? Just give us the order and we'll do it. And I did, and we changed it, and everybody's happy. Well, not everybody, but most people. Most people are happy, but it's great prestige for our country. You know, it's tremendous prestige for our country. And that's good for McDonald's, and that's good for everybody else. As president, I want you to know that I'm fighting every day to support small businesses like yours and the citizens that we all serve. And together we're fighting for an economy where everyone can win, from the cashier starting her first job to a franchisee opening his first location to the young family in a drive-through line. I've been on that line many times. Actually, that line was incredible in the commercial, right? It wasn't a commercial. It was about, but they have the line. The people had no idea. So I made the French fries. The guy was really good. He had a great wrist. He was, sir. He was going like, sir. Yeah. It was not that easy, but I got it sort of finally. Not the greatest, but I get it, pouring it in, asking him all sorts of stupid questions, but it was very interesting. Amazing. A little thing is not, it's a little complex, right? To father and son over there that own a lot. They're very rich people. But I'll tell you what, I asked, how many do you have? Sir, I have 59. I said, you're rich. But you know, nobody knew in the line. The line was a long line. They had 25,000 people, so somebody let them know we were coming. It was toward the end of the campaign. And after I did the French fries and did some other things, I then stood at the window. And the people would drive up, a little bored, in all fairness. You know, it is, I mean, they're waiting for a hamburger, okay? So they drive up like this. They look over. Whoa! Every one of them. And it was fascinating. Every one of them, the response was incredible. Almost like I knew I was going to win when I saw that. I knew, because the response was love. It was great. They had a good time, but we did, I think, 12 people. Every one of them had the same response. They drive up, they this, they get that, getting a little cash ready, and they look over, and some did a double take. Some went like that. Whoa. But it was sort of an amazing moment. You know, I did a garbage truck also, right? And I thought, when I spoke with Sergey and Sundar, I said, yeah, but the garbage truck was equal, wasn't it? They said, not even garbage truck was great, not even a contest to McDonald's. And that's because we had the power of McDonald's. I mean, it was an amazing thing. I thought the garbage truck would have won. And they said it was good, but it wasn't even close. So that's a tribute to what you've built, really. It really is a tribute to what you built. But there's still a lot of work to do, and we're making tremendous progress. 1.9 million more American-born workers are employed today than when I took office. Think of that. 1.9 million more today and these are American-born workers. Nobody thought that was possible. And we have the strongest borders in the history of our country. Nobody comes in unless they come in legally. You see the numbers. Everyone thinks it's impossible. A year ago, millions of people were storming our borders. Today, they only come in if they come in legally. And wages for hourly workers are rising at the fastest pace in 60 years. And sometimes you might say, well, is that good or bad? It's great for you. The minimum wage thing you'll have to be talking about. You're going to have to fight. We were talking about California, Gavin Newsom from California. And I knew he's laying siege on the minimum wage. And you people probably know, because that's a very complex subject, and you people probably know better than anybody the impact one way or the other, good or bad. And you're going to let your local congressmen, your senators know about it. But in 9 months, we've lifted over 600,000 Americans off a food stamp, and that's a record. And in stock, because we really have a strong economy. I mean, we're building thousands and thousands of factories all over this country. Wait till they open up. You're going to see something like we've never seen before. You know, we lost our auto industry. 54% of our auto industry left for other places over the years. And I think we're going to get it more than all back. They're coming in from Mexico, from Canada, from Germany. They're coming in from Japan. We made a deal with Japan, $650 billion. We never got anything. We made a deal with the European Union, $950 billion, and have to buy our oil and gas and many other things. And I want to say it's good for everybody. All that we made a deal recently with China, where they buy our soybeans, but it's hundreds of billions of dollars. And it's incredible what's taken place in our country. The world was laughing at us like we were stupid people. They're not laughing anymore. They don't laugh at us anymore. They respect us now again, and that's what we want. We want to be liked. We want to be respected, much more so than being liked. And, you know, in a certain way, they like us better now, too. They respect us, but they like us better now because the world was ripping off our country. Not sustainable, not even sustainable. China was making $722 billion. Think of that. Not million. 722 million's a lot, isn't it? $722 billion. They built their military with the money that we gave them over the years. And in my first term, we had a great first term. The most successful economy we've ever had in my first term. This is going to blow it away. This is blowing it away, to be honest with you. It blows everything away. There's never been a time like this, and you're going to see the results, you know, pretty quickly. But in stark contrast to the previous administration, 100% of all new jobs created in America under my administration have been created in the private sector. Because, you know, we are trimming out government jobs. You can't have, you know, what they do is they give you phony job numbers in a lot of ways, but they'd hire 100,000 people, and all of a sudden it looks like they're doing well. They're not doing well, because those are jobs that they hurt our country. if those jobs can be in the private sector, paying taxes and all the other things, it's a big 100% of the jobs that we put in have been, think of that, are in the private, come from the private sector. In my first term, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. And now we're doing it again, but this time it really is, as I said, much stronger, much better. I think it's going to be something that nobody has ever seen before. My pledge to every family and every small business is that I will not rest until you are richer, stronger, more successful, happier, till you've gotten a piece of the American dream. Some of you in this room have really gotten a piece of it because you made a great decision to go with a great, great company years ago. And it's really pretty amazing. That begins with making America. We have to do, the word is affordable, and affordable should be our word, not theirs, because the Democrats got up and talked affordability, and they don't say that they had the worst inflation in history, the highest energy prices in history. Everything was the worst. What they're great at is lying. They say affordability. This stuff was all much more expensive. We have a couple of items like coffee, which is a little high. We're going to get that down. You saw that today. The coffee comes down. Remember when I first took over? Eggs. My third day in office, I have a news conference, and the fake news media was screaming at me, Mr. Congressman, about eggs. Remember that? I'm standing there very innocent. Oh, hello. Do you have any questions? What about eggs? What about them? They're up 4 times. I said, look, I just got here. I'm sorry. And Brooke Rollins and Department of Agriculture did a phenomenal job. And they said, don't order eggs for Easter because you won't be able to get them. And they said, we have a big Easter egg hunt at the White House. It's sort of a thing that has gone on for 100 years. They said, could you order plastic eggs? I said, I'm not ordering plastic eggs. We're going to have eggs down by that time. And by the time we got to Easter, the price of eggs had fallen precipitously. We had all the eggs in this country you want. And we know what we're doing. I mean, we know what we're doing. We rebuilt our military. We have the greatest military anywhere in the world. We make the greatest military equipment anywhere in the world. And everybody knows it. And everybody knows it. And you saw that with the way we took out the nuclear capability of Iran with those gorgeous B-2 bombers. They flew in there and they wiped it. And the word was obliterated. Remember when CNN said, well, it might not have been obliteration. Think of the pilots. They go in there, they're under fire. I was watching this from the Situation Room, and you get to see things in situations that you wouldn't believe. And they said, sir, they have entered Iran airspace. All of a sudden you see much faster. Then you see them going down at the whole thing was crazy. I actually said, do people really want to do that for a living? They're waiting for them, but the equipment is so good. The B-2 bomber, stealth. They never saw them. They never saw them. I mean, it's the most amazing thing. And I honored the pilots at the White House. I had them brought in, along with mechanics and a lot of other people. We brought them to the White House to give a little celebration because they flew 37 hours flawlessly. Now compare that to the Jimmy Carter Iran situation with the helicopters crashing and the this and the, oh, what a horror, and the hostages. And I said, we can't let that happen, but we have a great team. General Raisin Kane is unbelievable. The whole group is unbelievable. And they went in, and I brought them into the White House, and I brought them then into the Oval Office, the pilots. And we met them, all handsome. They look like Tom Cruise. They really do. I don't want to be a wise guy and say, but taller. I'm not going to say that. No, they're perfect specimens. I mean, these guys are like from a movie. I could take everyone, put them in a movie. And I said to him, so what's the story with that raid? Did you expect, because you remember I pulled it back? Because I saw reporting that we're going to be leaving at a certain time. And I said to the general, is that not good that they think that? And they sort of got it right. They saw a lot of activity. Actually, you know why? They saw one of the things. They saw a lot of unbelievable activity going on at the McDonald's next to the base where they take off. The McDonald's was doing 5 times. They were going crazy. So they say, there's something going on over there. The biggest activity that McDonald's had ever had. And it was a nice story, how well it's doing. But that was not a good story for us. So I canceled it and then I announced we're canceling it. And the pilots said they were devastated. Then I put it back in the exact same time because that was the only time they weren't thinking would happen. And we left exactly on time, but that was after canceling it 2 days before. And then we put it right back in the exact same slot. And we had identical planes, the B-2s, flying four of them, flying into Guam. And they thought that was the attack team. And they were watching those planes in Guam, going to Guam, and that was not the planes that we had. But think of it, they flew both ways 37 hours without a sputtering of a bad engine, without any problem. But they got in, and they said they have entered Iran airspace, and the enemy's waiting for them. And they dropped the bombs. They hit every chute. You know, they have air chutes that go deep into the granite mountains. If you don't hit those chutes, the damage won't be as big as you want. And every bomb hit every chute. And then we hit them with rockets from a submarine that was quite a distance away, 30 of them. Let's put it this way, they got hit. And it totally took out the nuclear capability. And I said to these guys when they came in to the office, I said, do you guys like doing this stuff? You know, they said, sir, it was the greatest day of our life. Can you believe this, Congressman? It was the great, I mean, they're like heroes. They're like American heroes. Who the hell wants to sit, you know, those ships are very big, but they're very small when you're up way high, going very fast. And he said it was the greatest day of our life. And they told me something that I didn't know. They said that, sir, do you know, we waited 22 years for this, our predecessors and us. We would practice this run for 22 years. I didn't know that. For 22 years, we had to practice. We'd do it 3 times a year. We would practice this exact run. And then when you canceled it, because I canceled when they heard that we were coming, we were devastated. I said, see, now if I were a flyer and they canceled, I'd be extremely happy. Well, we're canceled, so let's forget it. But we were devastated. So I said, this is something you really love, right? Yes, sir. We were so honored. This was the greatest day of our life. I mean, it's really great. We just have incredible people in this country. It's an amazing story. And they hit, and then they said, skedaddle, the word skedaddle. And that plane went like this. You know, when it drops a bomb, it goes down very steeply because that gives it a better angle and, you know, more speed for the bomb. They're very, very heavy bombs. And they go, boom. And as soon as those things, the one pilot, the first one said, skedaddle. And that thing just turned in its side. And it's so unbelievable. And that knocked out Iran nuclear capability. And all of the Middle East became a different place. And now we have peace in the Middle East. And at the United Nations today, they approved the Board of Peace, which is I'm going to chair. And we're picking the leaders or the heads of the most important nations in the world. I think it'll be a board like no other than perhaps the McDonald's board. You have a very good board. You actually have a very good board. But nobody thought a thing like that was, this just happened today. The Board of Peace, and it's going to be comprised of myself and leaders of other very important nations and very respected nations, and it's going to be something I think is going to be very important. It was just approved. It was just endorsed by the United Nations. It was pretty great. It's a big thing. I think it's one of the most important things the United Nations will ever do, actually. But Joe Biden's prices and his hikes cost a typical American family an estimated $33,000 and hit your workers and your customers and your small businesses. Very, very hard. The Biden administration started the affordability crisis, and my administration is ending it. I'm ending it. Prices are way down. If you just look, so we don't have, as I said, the inflation, but our energy prices are way down. And, you know, despite hamburgers being a big business, energy is one business that's bigger. When you get energy down, everything else is affected. If you start bringing the price of gas, that's like a massive tax cut. And they were selling, you know, they were having gasoline at $4.75 a gallon and $4.50, $3.50, $3.75. We're going to be able, it looks like we're going to be able to hit $2 a gallon in the not too distant future. But let's say we're $2.50, $2.70. Other than places like California, that's not fair because they put so high a tax on that you're really paying a lot of that price is the tax that you're paying to government, which is horrible, actually, what they do. but the price of gasoline and the price of energy is way down. So when energy comes down, you make the donuts, you make the chicken, you make whatever you're making. Everything is all about energy. You have to deliver it. You have the trucks. You have the fuel. When energy comes down, and it's come down fast, we had an expression, drill, baby, drill. And I drilled, baby, drilled. I tell you, we drilled. And last month it was announced we produced more oil and gas than any time in the history of our country by far. And when you do that, everything comes down. You don't even have to look at the numbers. And it's all beautifully coming down. And as per your chief executive and your chairman and everybody else, they tell me the prices at McDonald's are coming down. It's moving down. Unfortunately, they were so high in the last administration that people aren't that happy because it was so high. So even though it's coming down and coming down a lot, they want to see where it was, like when I was president. And we'll be getting it very close to that number, maybe even better, depending on what we do with energy. But the energy's coming way down. In the 9 months since I took office, we've stopped inflation in the tracks. Since January, the core inflation has been the lowest in just about 8 years, just changed. It was 4 years, now it's 8 years. It just changed about an hour. They just said, sir, if you want, we can rewrite the speech. I said, no, I can remember it very nicely. Thank you. I'm not Biden. In the past 6 months, the price of breakfast items has fallen 14%. Bread prices are down. Dairy prices are down. The price of eggs has declined 86% since March, and much more than that since when I took over. Because when I took over, it was an egg crisis, as we said. And I want to give a very special thanks to McDonald's for slashing prices for your most popular items, bringing back extra value meals, and I hear you're recommitting to the affordable options of Americans that we really know and love, all of the items that we love. And I hear that McDonald's is playing a very big role in that. We're getting prices down for this country, and there's no better leader or advocate than McDonald's. And I believe the next time maybe I'll have to be back here again next year if you get them down enough, okay? That's all you have to do for me is get them down enough. We'll come back. We'll come back, Mr. Chairman. But while Democrats wanted to give Americans the largest tax hike in history in July, I proudly gave you the largest tax cuts in American history and signed the one big beautiful bill. I call it the great big beautiful bill into law. That includes no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. That is a big deal. So the great big beautiful bill is the biggest piece of legislation ever passed in our country's history. It gives expensing to you as owners, where you do something, you could expense it, you can take it off in 1 year instead of 38 or 40 years. It gives you so many things. And I'm not giving it to you, I'm giving it to the people that you're hiring, because I'm giving it for jobs. You're going to expand, you're going to do tremendously. You spend money and you can write it off quickly as opposed to over a period of many, many years. The typical waiter, waitress, or police officer will take home roughly $2,000 extra each year because of just what we've done on taxes. And the tax cut bill, and I call it the tax cut bill, is also a big boost to small businesses like yours. It includes permanent expensing. And again, the biggest thing I did in my first tax cut bill, and this also expanded and extended that, was the expensing, the 100% expensing. But now we have the expensing for a 10-year period, so for 10 years. And frankly, I sort of said, let's make it 2 years because, I want the results to be immediate. 10 years, they can take their time. I had a lot of pushback, including from these guys. They said, no, the right thing. It might have been good for us politically, but it's better what we did ultimately for the country. So we have 10-year full expensing. Nobody thought that was possible to get. We also expanded tax relief for all franchisees and made the pass-through deduction permanent. It's now permanent. And very importantly, under our tax cut bill, we virtually eliminated the unfair estate tax or death tax, so you can keep your family business in the family, your children, if you love your children. If you leave your beautiful place to your children, you won't have estate tax, small business. Now, if you don't love your children, don't you don't really care what I'm saying right now. I've only had 2 or 3 people over the years that say, I take a vote. Does anybody in this room dislike their children where you're not leaving it to your children? And, you know, it's always blank, blank, blank. Then all of a sudden, one guy about 6 rows back, okay. And I thought he was kidding. I said, oh, that's so funny. I'm not kidding. My kid is no good. I'm not. And I said, this is amazing. So he's not so happy with this, but it's all right. But think of it, you know, farmers especially, where they'd have a farm, and you know the expression, the land rich, cash poor a little bit, but they have a great, wonderful thing and a way of life that they wouldn't change with anybody, not even a franchisee, right? They don't want they don't want a McDonald's. If they have a farm, they love their farm, just like you love what you're doing. But the farmers were dying, leaving their farm to their children. The value of the farm was high. They'd go out. They'd have a tremendous estate tax or death tax. And it would, so much, I mean, the percentage is crazy how high. They'd end up losing the farm in bankruptcy. They'd go out and borrow all this money to pay the tax, the estate tax. They'd put a mortgage on the farm and they'd end up losing the farm. Many of them committed suicide. They would commit suicide. It was such a horrible thing that was happening. And we've ended, think of that, the death tax, the estate tax on the small businesses. So I hope you're around for a long time. You don't have to think about it, but it's a great thing for your family, and it's, you know, a great thing for longevity. You know, you treat your franchise just like a farmer treats his farm. You love it. I know you're there early. You're cleaning it, little touch of paint here or there. There's a little spot on the ceiling, drives you crazy, right? It's, you know, it's love. It's love for what you do. It's amazing the job you do, too. I see it. I've been in plenty of McDonald's that clean beautifully. You must have some awfully good incentives because they are really amazing places, the job that's done. But upon taking office, I signed an order requiring that for every new regulation, 10 old job-killing regulations have to be eliminated. So if we put in a new regulation, then we get rid of 10. Otherwise, you don't get the new regulation. And, you know, we got rid of the drip, drip water. We call it the drip, drip, where drip drips out of the sink. States with tremendous water, so much water, they have nothing but problems getting rid. They had restrictions on water. It comes down from heaven, right? They had restrictions on water. So you want to wash your hands, or like me, I want to wash my hair. I lather up. Then I turn that, and there's no water. The water's drip. They call it, they put a restrictor on. I won't mention the third item in the bathroom because I always get criticized. I used to mention that, but I don't mention it anymore because you know what I think you do. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you shouldn't be owning a McDonald's franchise. You wouldn't do well even with a McDonald's franchise. But no, the water restrictions totally lifted. All restrictors are gone. And you know, it's interesting. Your dishwashers were covered, right? You had no water. I was with some of the people that make them, Whirlpool and others, and they said, sir, they won't give us the water to use in our dishwashers or use in our washing machines. The washing machines have no water. I mean, it's like a glass of water, half a glass of water. We need water. And I said, how bad is it? He said, well, like the dishwasher. They put the dishes in, and they just keep pressing the button, they end up using more water. So I gave them, as you know, unlimited water. Biden came back with a rigged election, and he immediately restricted the water again. But I came back in and immediately unrestricted again. So now you have unlimited water to clean your damn dishes, okay? And other things. Your hands. Didn't you hate that? You walk in to wash your hands. I'm a big hands guy. I like to wash my hands. You know, I used to hate shaking hands. Now, once you run for office, you better like shaking hands or you got a problem. You ever see a politician? No, I don't want to shake hands. Can you do that? I don't think you wouldn't be a politician very long. I actually thought that with COVID, that would be the end because, you know, they didn't want you to shake. I said, well, but then it came back a little bit slowly, then eventually. But when you're a politician, you have to shake hands. So I like washing my hands. And you'd go into the sink, new places generally, and you turn on the water, and there's literally no water. And how about the places that think they're going to save a fortune, so they spend a lot of money, where the water turns off there. You press the thing, which you hate to do, you know, your hands, you don't like to press. So you get the towel, you press it, you wash it, and the water stops. So they have both a restrictor and a stopper. You get like 4 drops of water. Tell me, do we really get rich with that? Okay, do we really? This is so ridiculous. So I undid all of that nonsense. But we did much more important for you. We've rescinded the insane Biden energy regulations on ovens, cooktops, microwaves, and ice makers that were driving your costs through the roof. You have no longer restrictions in that. I hope you understand. But I did better than that, too. In terms of slashing, we slashed more than $1 trillion worth of regulations, burdens on the U.S. economy, in particular on businesses and people that employ people. Combining our regulatory and tax cuts, we've reduced the effective burden on franchisees by more than 37%. You're so freaking lucky. You are so lucky. You know? These guys are so loaded, they probably don't even know what I did for them. They make so much money, they say, yeah, it's peanuts, 37%. Let me tell you, you should have suffered a little while through Kamala. The good news is she had no clue. You just wonder, I want to give an IQ test to Kamala and Biden. Who do you think wins? But they were destroying your businesses. But I have better than that, though. As you know, in my first time, I also stopped a mortal threat to the franchise business model by terminating Obama's infamous joint employer rule. Joint employer. In other words, you were screwed. You would have been mortally wounded, perhaps. I said to a couple of the people, what would have happened if that? Sir, please, I'd rather not talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. I ended it. You got lucky on that one, let me tell you, because I said, really, I asked one of my guys, because when I was coming over, I saw that in the speech. I said, what does that mean? He said, that would have been death to businesses like yours and others. It was just, these people don't care. They didn't care. But I ended it, and I think that's one of the biggest things that you'll ever have done for yourselves. I think that's the biggest thing that it can ever be done for you. We mentioned all these different items, but that's the biggest by far for you. As long as I'm president, I'll always defend your right to run your own small business and do it well. And some of your small businesses have become very large business. One of the franchise owners here today is Carlos Matios Sr., who escaped communist Cuba when he was just 6 years old. In America, Carlos took jobs as newspaper delivery boy, a factory worker, and eventually became a New Jersey police officer. Then, in 1998, Carlos switched careers and moved to Virginia, where he took over his first McDonald's. Where's Carlos? Is he around here? Let me see. Come on, stand up. Stand up, and your son too. Stand up, your son. Good looking son. I met him backstage. He had a knack for turning around poorly performing restaurants, and today his family owns nearly 60 McDonald's all along the East Coast, including at the Pentagon, where I've ordered numerous Big Macs. Right? In fact, he served when the great football team came in. They served McDonald's, and you'd have these guys walking out, the biggest human beings I've ever seen. They were the national champs, right? Remember the team? Who was the team? You remember the team? He said Clemson, that's right. And these guys, I don't know, they were, like 6'6". What do you weigh? Sir, I weigh 392. I said, but you reported it much less. Yeah, that's what they say. But and he'd have like 12, just each. And I thought he was bringing them back to the rest of the team. I said, that's nice, but maybe the team wants them. No, this is what I said, are you going to eat all of them? Yes, sir. He didn't even know what I was talking about. But you served it, and you did a great job. In 2019, when we hosted that great Clemson Tigers at the White House, I literally brought dozens of Quarter Pounders from McDonald's. We bought the whole thing. We bought the Quarter Pounder. We bought actually just about it. Well, he really had no choice because he just took everything he had in the whole restaurant. We got whatever the hell, probably whatever didn't sell, we got, right? But Carlos is here with Carlos Jr., his son, who started as a cashier and now runs dozens of the restaurants. Congratulations, fellas. What a great family. Congratulations. So in conclusion here tonight, carry on. I'm really just keep going and inspiring that legacy and that pride that you have at really beyond almost all else. It was excellence and service, stretching back more than 7 decades to when two hardworking brothers with a hamburger stand in California partnered with a hard-driving entrepreneur from Illinois to revolutionize the restaurant business forever, like nobody had ever seen. Because of men and women like those in this room who have pride in your souls, love in your hearts, and ketchup in your veins. Did you ever hear that one? 70 years later, McDonald's is the #1 fast food restaurant in the entire world, and honestly, it's not even close. What a job you've done. And it still is really growing stronger with 900 new restaurants planned in the United States in the next 2 years alone. And I think with the great, big, beautiful bill, you might even double that number. I can imagine you'll double that number. But it's amazing to watch you grow. You know, the big ones, they get a little slow, they get a little fat, they get a little sloppy. This is a company that's gone just the opposite. You've gotten more and more competitive. I look at your numbers. You've gotten more and more competitive over the years, over the generations. Your spirit, generosity, and devotion to your communities has really made McDonald's a symbol of American values, aspiration, and success that's recognized all over the world. You are recognized all over the world, something that, and there's a lot of great, I mean, compared to the total, not so many, but there's a lot of great leaders, great companies. But I think more than anybody, McDonald's is recognized all over the world and as widely as, frankly, the stars and stripes themselves. And everywhere there's a McDonald's, we see stars and stripes. Everywhere the American flag flies, you'll find the golden arches, and there you'll find good people doing honest, beautiful, hard work, and happy families sitting down to a really great meal. Because no matter who you are, everyone loves something at McDonald's. There's always something to have. I like the fish. I like it. You could do a little bit more tartar sauce, though, please. Seriously. I hate when I say, do you have any tartar sauce? Do you understand that? Yes, he understands that. Together with hardworking Americans like you, we're going to pioneer new heights to prosperity. We are doing better as a country right now. And people are seeing it. The Wall Street guys know it. The stock market hit its all-time high 48 times in a row in 9 months, 48 times during the 9-month period. And we're hitting the highest stock market we've ever had in history. All markets, all three, all markets, every one of them, has hit all brand new highs. It's a good time to be making this speech, because when you make one of these speeches, if you're doing lousy, it's not good. And you know, the stock market, you can say what you want, but it's a hell of an indicator. It's really a hell of an indicator, and your stock is doing phenomenally. But the stock market has hit an all-time high 48 times during the last 9 months. So we're going to pioneer new heights even from that. These new heights of prosperity are going to be incredible. We're looking at affordability. We're going to bring it down for everybody, because not everybody understands the fact that a great stock market is great for everybody, including 401ks. You know, the 401ks hit the highest number that they've ever been 2 days ago. And that's a lot of people. So they understand what's going on. And we're going to make the American dream two words that you didn't have. You didn't have those 2 words. Remember when Biden said, it's all about 3 words, the American dream. You don't want to ever get in that situation. Remember that? That was not good. It's all about 3 words, American dream. But possible, and you're going to make it really possible for millions and millions of people. And you have an administration that's got your back. You don't have an administration that wants to put you out of business, that wants to take away your water, that wants to have you not use a microwave oven, that wants to do all these horrible things that are going to destroy you. They were looking to destroy you and other businesses too. So together we're going to make America richer, stronger, prouder, and happier than ever before. And you people can be very, very proud of the job you've done. You're respected all over the world, and it's an honor to be with the McDonald's. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
I just have to stop the music. I can't play YMCA, so they're playing YMCA. That was President Trump speaking at the McDonald's Impact Summit. Now he's dancing to YMCA. I didn't know if he was going to talk about, say, Epstein or Marjorie Taylor Greene or Venezuela. He did not talk about any of those things. Now he's golfing. What I think we'll do shortly is just show you the Q&A. He did a Q&A in the Oval Office today where he talked about some of these stories that we have been talking about on the stream. So maybe in a few minutes, we'll show you his Q&A from the Oval Office. He answered some questions. But interesting to see anyway. Hey, thanks, Kevin Dingwall. I really appreciate that, Kevin. I hope you feel better, and thank you for your note, Kevin. That's really kind of you. I think Kevin is in Aberdeen, Scotland. Thank you, Kevin. And I have a couple thank yous I want to mention. I Am Charlie in Trying Times, Sky Goose Gaming, Bez from Oz, Jiggle Jess, Lewis R. Thanks for your support. Sevenfold, Zillzone. I appreciate it. Corey Falcon. And also over on Twitch, Broken Neck Radio and Will Okla. Thanks for subscribing over there. And Patention. So one of our viewers said no questions. Yeah, he normally wouldn't take questions at an event like that because that wasn't a press event. It was I don't know. I mean, normally when you have a corporate event like that, and like somebody famous speaks, they might pay the person. I don't know that they paid him. I'm sure the company doesn't mind having him come speak because they probably feel it's like it's good for the company. So I don't know how that ended up happening. But also supposedly I've read stories claiming that he wants to do more speeches on the economy. So he was speaking about the economy and talking about the economy being good and how he said it was going to improve. So maybe that's why he wanted to do it, to be able to get out there and talk about the economy. In a little bit, I want to show you, because we've been talking about, in case you missed it, there is a vote scheduled tomorrow afternoon in the House of Representatives to vote on a bill to force the Justice Department to release the Epstein files. If it passes, then to become law, the Senate would have to pass it, and then Trump would have to sign it. Trump said today he would sign such a bill if both houses passed it. It's unclear if the House passes it, which it looks like it will, whether the Senate will have a vote on it. So we're going to be covering that tomorrow. Also tomorrow morning, there's supposed to be a press conference with Marjorie Taylor Greene and other Congress people about the Epstein files, which I want to show you. And so we're going to be covering that tomorrow morning, I think around 9 in the morning. Then also tomorrow, Saudi Arabia's leader, Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, is going to be visiting the White House. And I assume he'll do some sort of appearance with Trump, so we'll probably cover that as well. So it's going to be busy tomorrow covering all of that stuff. Big day tomorrow says, PM me your nachos. But I do want to, in a second, I'm going to show you what he had to say answering some questions. Michael Hutchinson, our viewer, thank you. Michael says, I have worked and I am still working for McDonald's for 19 years. I'm working overnight tonight, but I'm off the next 2 days. He says we don't get any 401k or any retirement. Is that true? I don't know about that. I don't want to, I can't speak to it. I don't know, but I just want to make sure that's what the viewer claims. I am looking right now. That's not what I'm seeing online, just to be clear. But I don't know for sure. I'm seeing things online that don't say that, but I don't want to start researching McDonald's 401k and retirement benefits now. So I'll just pass along that our employer said that. Maybe depending on the job you do, it's different. I just want to say I don't know how their retirement plans and 401ks work, and also whether it varies based on what you're doing there. But feel free to go Google it yourself and look it up. And thank you, Michael Hutchinson. One of our viewers, John Flick, says probably management. Yes, I just don't want to give out false information, but I'm not going to look it up now. So maybe Michael is right, but there's complications there. I don't know. Okay. So also something else I wanted to talk about because some viewers had mentioned it. I just wanted to talk about this quickly. Another story that we hadn't talked about yet. Oh, Michael says, thanks, Michael. Michael wrote again, Michael Hutchinson said he works at a family-owned organization, McDonald's, and that he doesn't get a retirement. That's what Michael says. Thank you, Michael, for your support. I very much appreciate it. Ventura Highway, our viewer, thinks it's dependent on the franchisee. Again, this is viewer comments. I do not know. I am not making claims about McDonald's retirement benefits. Hey, I want to talk about this. You can see a couple of our viewers mentioned this. Rail explosion in Poland was sabotage, Prime Minister says. So I want to look at this. But first, real quick, this broadcast is one of our sponsored streams, thanks to our sponsor, Gold Safe Exchange, who I really appreciate. So the way we do it is since people come in and out of the stream, we mention the sponsor at the beginning, and then towards the latter part of the broadcast, we do it one more time. So real quick, we're going to take a moment and hear about our sponsor, and then after that, we will talk about Poland. You know, a number of people these days are investing in gold, silver, and other precious metals as a way of diversifying their portfolio. If you're interested in purchasing some precious metals, one way you can do that is with a precious metals IRA. This is an IRS-approved type of IRA in which your savings are invested into gold or other precious metals. If that kind of thing sounds interesting to you, if you want to know more, you can reach out to the folks at Gold Safe Exchange. They specialize in gold IRAs and other precious metals IRAs. Gold Safe Exchange puts a priority on customer service and transparency. They've got an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. They have a price match guarantee. If you find a lower quote, they'll beat it. And they explain their processes in clear language so their clients know what's happening with their money. Also, they abide by all government security and safety standards. So if you're even a little interested in opening a gold IRA or other precious metals IRA, call Gold Safe Exchange at 800-341-6727 for a no-pressure chat. Or visit them on the web at goldsafeexchange.com/agenda-free. And mention Agenda-Free TV when you reach out to access a special offer where you could get free gold or silver with qualifying purchases. All right, let's talk about Poland and get an update on the situation in Poland. This article just came out. I haven't even read it yet. This is from the Washington Post. Rail explosion in Poland was sabotage, Prime Minister says. A rail line in Poland was blown up Sunday in an unprecedented act of sabotage, said Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk today, vowing to catch the perpetrators. The affected line links the capital Warsaw to the eastern city of Lublin and continues onward to Ukraine. That line has been used to deliver aid to Ukraine. Without specifically accusing Russia, Prime Minister Tusk connected the apparent attack to the war in Ukraine. Tusk wrote today, well, actually, I'll show you what Donald Tusk wrote. He said, here it is. He said, blowing up the rail track on the Warsaw-Lublin line is an unprecedented act of sabotage targeting directly the security of the Polish state and its citizens. This route is also crucially important for delivering aid to Ukraine. We will catch the perpetrators, whoever they are. He also said tomorrow morning an extraordinary meeting of the Governmental National Security Committee will take place with the participation of military commanders, heads of services, and the president's representative. Now, he doesn't say it's Russia here. He doesn't say the R word. Moon72 says, will NATO ever get involved? They seem useless so far. Let me go back to this article on this. Hold on a second here. The Polish Security Services Minister said today there was a very high chance that the sabotage had been carried out on the orders of a foreign intelligence service, but he did not name a specific country. A train driver spotted damage to the line and no casualties were reported. The Polish defense minister said the Polish military will inspect a roughly 75-mile section of the rail line running to the Ukrainian border. A wave of sabotage and other attacks in Europe have been connected to Russia's war in Ukraine. Last month, Poland detained 8 people who Tusk said were preparing acts of sabotage in Eastern Europe. Polish officials have accused Russia of targeting Poland in a hybrid war that includes arson and cyber attacks. Russia has denied the allegations. In September, a Ukrainian man suspected of a role in the 2022 sabotage of the Nord Stream gas pipelines was arrested in Poland a month after another Ukrainian suspected in the case was arrested in Italy. Anyway, so they're not saying it was Russia specifically. I'll see if I have any other reporting on that for you. Yes, Poland is a NATO country. Some of our viewers are talking about that. Let's see here. Reuters says that the blast on the Warsaw-Lublin line that connects Warsaw to the Ukrainian border followed a wave of arson, sabotage, and cyber attacks in Poland and other European countries since the start of the war in Ukraine. Warsaw has in the past held Russia responsible. How badly damaged was this track? Also, according to the Wall Street Journal said Prime Minister Tusk of Poland said there was a passenger train that was on this line and damage was spotted on the tracks and the train had to make an emergency stop. And Prime Minister Tusk of Poland said the goal of the sabotage was to blow up the train. He also said there's other damage on that rail route. Mick Riley, our viewer, thinks rail tracks are repaired fast. Let me see. I'm going to check also. You know what would be a good... Hold on. I was going to check a Polish outlet. See if there are any updates on that. Mac Knight says this could end the war since there's no way to get aid. Well, certainly a bunch of aid has been going into Ukraine through Poland. I was checking to see if I have any updates here. Let's see. What is this? What is this one? There is this Polsat News, which is a Polish news site I was looking at. And they said they had a guest on the show who is an expert and a former head of an intelligence agency who said he believes that this incident was caused by, he said, for the first time, we're dealing with serious players, not amateurs, but specialists. He also said that this kind of attack on a railway crosses a red line. Yeah, I mean, the prime minister described it. He said he used the phrase blowing up the rail track. Yes, and again, he also said, oh, there's a video. Hold on. Is the video in English? I'm sorry. I could probably play the video if it's in English. Hang on. All right, the video is not in English, but hold on. I can show you a couple other posts here from Donald Tusk, the Prime Minister of Poland. So this is not in English, but he said it's already certain we're dealing with an act of sabotage. Hold on. Just showing you some of this video. But he also said, can you see the damage in there? I can't really see much right there. He also posted something before that. Oops, sorry. It says Trump speaks at McDonald's impacts up. So let me change the headline. Poland says part of railway blown up in act of sabotage. Okay. Sorry, the headline was old. But yeah, here's another post he made. He said, Donald Tusk, Prime Minister of Poland, unfortunately, the worst fears have been confirmed. On the Warsaw-Lublin route, which heads into Ukraine, an act of sabotage has occurred. The explosion of an explosive device destroyed the railway track. Emergency services and the prosecutor's office are working at the scene on the same route closer to Lublin. More damage has also been identified. Yes, Evie Shore mentions, we said that earlier, that route has been used to supply Ukraine in the past. The Epstein vote is tomorrow. Tomorrow, we'll be covering it. It's tomorrow afternoon. Lord Tomayoshi says, does Poland have cameras set up to determine the culprit? That's an interesting question, is if they have security cameras that might have caught something. Mike Petrek, our viewer, says Russia has operatives and everywhere. Here's an update from Associated Press. One of our viewers just mentioned Associated Press. We'll see if they have anything different. Oopsie. Poland blames sabotage for railway blast on Ukraine. Blames sabotage for railway blast on Ukraine delivery line. It's a line used for deliveries to Ukraine. The Prime Minister said this railway is vital for delivering aid to Ukraine. Polish officials said they were sure that an explosive device had been detonated on a section of track. And then they also later discovered damage to overhead cables on the same line. Both were likely sabotage, so both blowing up a section of track and doing damage to overhead cables. Western officials have accused Russia and its proxies of staging dozens of attacks and other incidents across Europe since the invasion of Ukraine 3 years ago. Moscow's goal, Western officials say, is to undermine support for Ukraine, spark fear, and divide European societies. A Polish security official said investigators are probing whether the 2 cases of suspected sabotage are deliberate acts by a hostile state. The perpetrators demonstrated high professionalism and expert training, they said. It wasn't immediately clear whether the explosion and damage occurred late Saturday or early Sunday. Well, we'll have to see if anything develops more about that. I don't know if there's a world in which, even if they think it's Russia, do they just not announce it? Because they don't want, maybe there's one scenario in which you think Russia did it, but if you announce it, you worry there'll be political pressure to escalate, and you just don't think it's worth escalating over. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm just saying I would think it's maybe possible. Just Ducky says surprised it took this long for them to hit the supply line to Ukraine. I mean, I don't know. There was the comment when I guess the prime minister said they were trying to blow up the train. If it's Russia, I don't know that they'd be trying to blow up the train. Because if you blow up a train, then maybe that's something that leads to escalation in a way that doing mysterious damage to a railway line might not. Larry Martinez says, I am sure Poland would want to get the facts and evidence straight before they officially sound off. Shockerbo thinks we all know it's Russia. Ritamber Trins thinks it could be a setup to blame Russia. Claudia thinks the tracks will be repaired, otherwise there will be no consequences. Danny G says you have to read between the lines. What is this here? So again, by the way, again, tomorrow, a bunch of coverage in the morning, going to be covering a press conference about the Epstein situation by Marjorie Taylor Greene and other members of Congress. I think that's at 9 a.m. Eastern, and the vote is supposed to be in the afternoon. A Fox News reporter said it was a Fox News. It was either a reporter or producer posted that it was going to be at 3:15 p.m. The House vote. Is it on the schedule right now? Let me see. I don't see it there. Oh, you know what's weird? Hold on a second here. I saw that report before, but I don't see it anywhere else. Sometime in the afternoon, the House vote is supposed to happen. Ryan Nobles, I know, he's from NBC News. They had reported it's going to happen tomorrow afternoon. So don't hold me to 3:15, but tomorrow afternoon is what I'm hearing about the Epstein vote. Gary says next few days will be crazy. So we're going to be doing a lot of coverage tomorrow. if you missed it, we talked a lot about that earlier in the stream. You can rewind and watch that. But I did want to show you what President Trump said when he answered some questions today. He answered, yes, and as Michael Avery says, we talked about this earlier, Saudi leader Mohammed bin Salman will be visiting the White House tomorrow. So we probably would cover some of that as well. And I think what I'd like to do is, I haven't had a chance to do it. President Trump ended up speaking, so we covered that. But earlier today, he took some questions at the White House. Now, he was initially talking about FIFA, but then he took questions. So I don't think we need to watch the FIFA stuff, but I would like to show you what he had to say about Epstein and Venezuela, and some of the topics we've talked about today at the White House. So I'm going to throw that up on the screen right now. It's not that long, but I just think it'd be helpful to see. And I said we were going to do it. I said I was going to show it. Now the question is, I want to cue it up to the right place.
Sporting event we've ever had. It's like having 104, or
hold on a second.
even if you got it in there, 50, 60 Super Bowls.
Take us through this FIFA path.
We came in 10 months. We have a system that's going to welcome the world, the greatest hope they.
I'm going past the FIFA stuff.
This builds on the framework and the groundwork that you've built already up for a major year in 2026. Deregulation, groundwork that you've built.
I never thought I was going to be president. They've ever assembled. You see the front door of the leasing, but there was. I feel great.
Just first ask, the help of the president's always news. Your voice sounds a little rough.
Okay. Let's watch President Trump as he took some questions. I think I queued it up where I wanted to queue it up. The first question is about his voice. There were a couple of questions before this, but one was about FIFA. Another one wasn't really relevant to the stuff we were looking at. Let me just put on the headline. House vote on Epstein files expected tomorrow. Okay, here's what Trump, here are some of the questions and answers that he got in the White House earlier today in the Oval Office.
Something very, very special. World Cup. All my life I've heard about it. Yep.
Mr. President, I have a question about Venezuela, but can I just first ask, the help of the president's always news. Your voice sounds a little rough. Are you feeling all right?
I feel great. I was shouting at people because they were stupid about something having to do with trade in a country, and I straightened it out. But I blew my stack at these people.
Well, it sounds like there's a follow-up there, but can I ask you about Venezuela? You suggested...
Sounds like there's a what?
It sounds like there's a follow-up there, but can I ask you about Venezuela?
You said there was a polyp. And I said, I don't want to hear that. Okay.
You suggested you've made a decision about what you want to do next about Venezuela. I understand you don't want to tip your hand. Was there anything you're ready to rule out at this point? Are you ruling out U.S. troops on the ground?
No, I don't rule out that. I don't rule out anything. We just have to take care of Venezuela. They dumped hundreds of thousands of people into our country from prisons. Nobody knows better than this young lady right here. She's done an incredible job with Tom Homan and all of your people. It's amazing. You know, we have a tight border right now. Nobody comes in. But we had millions of people pouring through. A year ago, we had millions of people pouring through our border. And many of them came from Venezuela, including Tren de Aragua, the gang. And I guess what I'm hearing, Christy, is that's as bad a gang as there is anywhere in the world.
It's the worst. Absolutely, sure. Absolutely, they are the worst.
I mean, they're worse than MS-13.
They're killers. They massacre people. They cut them up into pieces and they bury them in their communities where they grew up. They're horrible people.
Now, we had a lot of them, and many of them, most of them, pretty soon, most of them are going to be out. But they sent them in like we're a dumping ground. So I'm not in love with the people running Venezuela. I love Venezuela. I love the people of Venezuela. but what they've done to this country. And I really say this, what Biden and the Democrats have done to this country can never, ever be forgotten.
You suggested Maduro wants to talk. Are you prepared to speak with him directly? Would you commit to doing that before you order strikes?
Yeah, I probably would talk to him. Yeah, I talk to everybody.
Mr. President,
Go ahead,
Paul
please.
Washington Garrett, was that who you were
Please, go
referring
ahead.
to? Was that India?
Rebecca Zalko with Blaze News. So in a recent interview, you had made some remarks about H-1B visas. You said about H-1B visas.
Yeah.
You said that there were certain talents that Americans needed to outsource to foreign workers. Could you clarify?
Until they learn that, yeah. Like, for instance, if you're going to be making chips, we don't make chips too much here anymore, but we are going to be in a period of a year. We're going to have a big portion of the chip market. But we have to train our people how to make chips because we didn't do it. We used to do it, and then foolishly we lost that business to Taiwan. Very, very foolishly, because if they had a president that thought like I did, they would not have let that happen. But it's all coming back. I think we're going to have within a few years, we're going, and not because of the CHIPS Act. The CHIPS Act was a disaster for this country. We gave away billions of dollars to other countries and other locations and companies, and all they did was rob our money. But because of tariffs, the chips are coming back. Chip makers are all coming back. And I think within a very short period of time, we're going to have maybe even the majority of the chip making in the world will be right in the United States, where it should have been all along. But because we had people that didn't believe in tariffs, they believed in them, but they didn't know how to use them, we would have had nobody leaving our country right now. And instead, you have almost 100% of the chips are made in Taiwan. It's so disgraceful. The good news is it's all coming back. Yeah, please.
Mr. President,
The gentleman in the back.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to just follow up on Venezuela. In these talks with Maduro, is there anything that he could say or do that would allow you to feel like he could stay with your support? Is there anything that he could say that you would be, okay, you can stay with you?
It's hard to say that. You know, the question's a little bit tricky. I don't think it was meant to be tricky. It's just that, look, he's done tremendous damage to our country, primarily because of drugs, but really because we have that problem with other countries too. But more than any other country, the release of prisoners into our country has been a disaster. He's emptied his jails. Others have done that also. He has not been good to the United States. So we'll see what happens. At a certain period of time, I'll be talking to him.
Mr. President, can I just follow up? You mentioned your voice and you were shouting about trade. Which country in particular upset you? Was it India?
No. A country wanted to try and renegotiate the terms of their trade deal, and I wasn't happy about it.
Well, which country was it? People want to know.
Why would I say that to you? I can't believe it.
Mr. President, on the World Cup, if you would, Seattle and the World Cup. The new mayor-elect of Seattle is a Democratic Socialist. Seattle has six,
or beyond. I watched her.
Right, Seattle has six.
That's more than socialism.
Right, Seattle has 6 World Cup games. How close are you going to be watching that city with the crime in that city?
Well, if we think, and I'll have to speak to Johnny about this, but if we think that the mayor of L.A. is incompetent, everybody knows that. You know that I was there, I guess, 2 years ago, and we got all the federal permits taken care of, far more complex than the state permits and the city permits. And Lee Zeldin, who's a superstar, got everything taken care of. The toughest part, having to do with the fires, that should have never happened. If they let the water come in, it wouldn't have happened, right? Do you know that people aren't building their houses yet? I mean, can you imagine that? And if we didn't go in early on, Chris, I think we can say it. Well, the head of their police department said it. They were unable to handle. You would have had, not only did you have the fires, but you would have had total insurrection in Los Angeles. And if we didn't go in, and the head of, the gentleman, he said it, and he said it strongly, said we could not have done it without the federal government. We did a great job. If we think there's going to be a sign of any trouble, I would ask Johnny to move that to a different city. We have a lot of cities that would love to have it, number one, and we'll do it very safely. So if we think there's a problem in Seattle where you have a very, very liberal/communist mayor, I would say, it's certainly beyond just liberal. I watched her over the weekend. Wow, that's another beauty we got there. But if we think there's going to be a problem, we'll, Johnny, can I say we will move? I don't think you're going to have this problem, but we're going to move the event to some place where it's going to be appreciated and safe.
Yeah, well, I think safety and security is the #1 priority for a successful World Cup. We can see today that people have trust in the United States. When we see at the ticket sales, we sold, record-breaking figures of tickets, almost 2 million already sold out of 2 million that we have been selling. This is because people, they know that they will be coming here and they will experience a safe and secure World Cup. This is the responsibility, of course, of the government, of Secretary Norm, of everyone, and obviously we will. We will discuss. We are working together. We have a task force for this, and we must ensure that all fans coming from abroad or being here, they can experience a celebration of coming together of the sport. And this goes only with 100% safety.
We are communicating with all these mayors about what their responsibilities are. They know the safety and security of these events is their #1 responsibility, and we'll be there. The president's always there to keep Americans safe, but he also makes sure the people that know their responsibilities and that they're prepared to host these events and do so in a safe manner.
Is there a timeline that would have
There was some news this morning from an Axios report that Senator Ted Cruz was laying the groundwork for a potential 2028 presidential run. Could I get your reaction to? Could you see yourself supporting Senator?
Well, he's a friend of mine. I haven't spoken to him about it. It's a little early. It's 3.25 years. It's a long time, but he's a very good guy. He's a very good friend of mine. You remember we had quite a campaign against Ted, and it worked out quite nicely. Let's see, where are we? Oh, we're in the other. But I'm not that surprised to hear that.
Mr. President, on the tariff exemptions, you had some recently on a variety of different goods. I'm wondering, are you ruling out going forward no more exemptions on products? You were mentioning a disagreement earlier. So I'm wondering,
we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariff money. We're going to be issuing dividends later on, somewhere prior to, probably in the middle of next year, a little bit later than that, of thousands of dollars for individuals of moderate income, middle income. We're going to pay down debt. We have a lot of money from tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, this nation would be in serious trouble. And we've taken in tremendous amounts of money. And you know what's more important than that? We've protected our businesses from being raided like we did with the chip business. Now we're bringing them all back. But we had 100% of the chip industry. And then they left. They went mostly to Taiwan and South Korea, but mostly Taiwan. And they have almost 100%. And we're going to have, within a short period of time, a big percentage of the chip business are coming back because of tariffs, because they don't want to pay the tariffs, because the tariffs will be very steep if they don't come back, and they've committed to come back. As you probably heard, Apple is now up to $700 billion. We have NVIDIA at $600 billion. We have tremendous amounts of money pouring in. Our country has become amazing again and really, really rich again. I will say this. We have a decision we're waiting for. It's a very big decision. The numbers that we've taken in, if you talk about investments, is trillions, not with a B, not with an M, millions, but trillions of dollars. I can't imagine having to give that money back on something that we're allowed to do. And the ones that are fighting us are countries, largely. They're back in countries that have been ripping us off for years, using tariffs to rip us off. And now we're able to defend ourselves. It really is a matter of national security, because economic security is national security. So I think you're going to see another thing happening. I think you'll see food prices. They've come down very substantially since Biden. But I think you're going to see food prices coming down very substantially.
Saudi Arabia, tomorrow you're hosting Saudi Arabia. Are you planning to sell F-35s to Saudi Arabia? I mean, and also, are you looking at doing a similar security agreement like you did with
Yeah, no, I am planning on doing that. Yeah. They want to buy. They've been a great ally. They've got to like us very much. Look at the Iran situation, what we did in terms of obliterating, we obliterated their nuclear capability. Yeah, I will say that we will be doing that. We'll be selling F-35s.
Something that you posted on Truth Social last night. You urged House Republicans to vote in favor of this Epstein release bill they're going to vote on tomorrow. I just want to be super clear on your position. Do you want to see that pass the Senate? Would you sign that bill if it gets to your desk?
I do want to. Here's what I want. We have nothing to do with Epstein. The Democrats do. All of his friends were Democrats. You look at this Reid Hoffman, you look at Larry Summers, Bill Clinton, they went to his island all the time, and many others. They're all Democrats. All I want is for people to recognize the great job that I've done on pricing, on affordability, because we brought prices way down, but they're going way lower, on energy, on ending 8 wars and another one coming pretty soon, I believe. We've done a great job. And I hate to see that deflect from the great job we've done. So I'm all for it. We've already given 50,000 pages. You do know that. Unfortunately, like with the Kennedy situation, with the Martin Luther King situation, not to put Jeffrey Epstein in the same category, but no matter what we give, it's never enough. With Kennedy, we gave everything, and it wasn't enough. With Martin Luther King, we gave everything, and it's never enough. We've already given, I believe the number is 50,000 pages. 50,000 pages. And it's just a Russia hoax as it pertains to the Republicans. Now, I believe that some of the people that we mentioned are being looked at very seriously for their relationship to Jeffrey Epstein, but they were with him all the time. I wasn't at all. And we'll see what happens. What I just don't want Epstein to do is detract from the great success of the Republican Party, including the fact that the Democrats are totally blamed for the shutdown. They cost our country hundreds of billions of dollars with that, at a lot of inconvenience. So I'm for I don't. They can do whatever they want. We'll give them everything. Sure, I would. Let the Senate look at it. Let anybody look at it. But don't talk about it too much, because honestly, I don't want to take it away from us. It's really a Democrat problem. The Democrats were Epstein's friends, all of them, and it's a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax, and I don't want to take it away from really the greatness of what the Republican Party has accomplished over the last period of time.
The shutdown is now over. And administration officials had said when the shutdown ends, they'll reevaluate the farmer relief. Now we have the deal with China. So is the administration still looking to dish out farmer relief now that the government is back open?
Yeah, we want to. I'm always going to help our farmers.
So are you still looking to do
I would do that, yeah. If they need relief, we'll be there for them. We're going to always be for our farmers.
So what are you waiting
for?
Please, in the back. Mr. President, just speaking of the economic impacts of FIFA and possibly moving to another city, some games, if you feel there's crime, is there like a timeline that you would do that? Because these cities, there's sponsorships, there's economic impacts for these communities.
Sure.
Is there?
The governors are going to have to behave. The mayors are going to have to behave. In the case of California, you have a problem. You have high crime, and you have a place that just suffered great fires and everything else, and they didn't do a very good job. And if we didn't go in from the crime standpoint, you would have had a disaster. It was not going to be handled properly. It wasn't able to be. The head of the police said without the federal government, they could not have done it. So here's the story. I love Los Angeles. If they want help during this, I would love to send in National Guard or whoever's necessary to help them. I want it to be great. I'd love it to be in Los Angeles. I love the place. It's a natural for Los Angeles. If we think there's going to be crime, if we are obstructed by the governor, and maybe he won't obstruct, maybe it'll be great. But I'd love him for him to call and say, we'd like to have some extra help. Because if there's even a hint of a problem, we want to get in there before the problem occurs. We want to make it totally safe for Johnny and FIFA and all of the great people that are going to be there. And I think that's going to happen. I would be honored to help California if they're going to have a problem. And if they think they're going to have a problem, they should say so. We can be in there in 24 hours notice and do a great job.
But does that happen by the end of the year, by the end of the first quarter?
Well, I think this, if they would tell us now, they're not going to have a problem. Because if we go in, they don't have a problem. Look at D.C. There's no crime in D.C. anymore. And D.C. was a mess. If they want us to go in, I'd like them to tell us right now. But if we go in, there will be no problem. There will be no crime.
What's the message then to like local businesses who are considering sponsoring?
Tell your governor to ask for federal help. We'd love to help them.
Also potentially launching strikes in Mexico or putting American troops or American personnel into Mexico to deal with the
Would I
cartels.
launch strikes in Mexico to stop drugs? It's okay with me. Whatever we have to do to stop drugs. Mexico is... Look, I looked at Mexico City over the weekend. There's some big problems over there. If we had to, would we do there what we've done to the waterways? You know, there's almost no drugs coming in through our waterways anymore. Isn't it down like 85%?
It is, sir.
I don't know who the 15% would be. It wouldn't be you.
No, that's for sure.
No, I think it's been...
Tons and tons of
You would say
drugs.
that's a big signal.
Absolutely.
We have almost no drugs coming into our country by the sea, by, the waterways. And you know why, okay? I mean, it's pretty obvious. Would I do that on the land cars? I would absolutely. Look, every boat we knock out, we save 25,000 American lives. Not to mention the destruction of families. These families are decimated forever. The mother, the father, the children, they never recover really from it. When you lose somebody like the way they live, if you lose them, but the way they die is horrible. So when we knock out a boat and we save 25,000 lives, that's great. Now, do I feel the same way about the corridors that they use? We know every one of them. We have every one of those corridors under major surveillance. We have nobody coming in through our southern border. But we know exactly how they get their things here, how they get the drugs here, fentanyl, cocaine. Colombia has cocaine factories where they make cocaine. Would I knock out those factories? I would be proud to do it personally. I didn't say I'm doing it, but I would be proud to do it because we're going to save millions of lives by doing it.
Would you only do it with Mexico's permission, though?
I wouldn't answer that question. I've been speaking to Mexico. They know how I stand. We're losing hundreds of thousands of people to drugs. So now we've stopped the waterways, but we know every route. We know every route. We know the addresses of every drug lord. We know their address. We know their front door. We know everything about every one of them. They're killing our people. That's like a war. Would I do it? I'd be proud to. I'd probably go into Congress and say, hey, and you know what? The Democrats and the Republicans would both agree, unless they're crazy. And they are a little crazy on the Democrat side. But we have lost hundreds of thousands of people a year, death. And that's not talking about family destruction, it's talking about death. And much of it comes through Mexico. So let me just put it this way. I am not happy with Mexico, okay? Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Press.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. All right, so you got to see the Q&A from Trump. At the end there, he was talking about the possibility of carrying out strikes to stop drug, to prevent drugs from coming to the U.S., carrying out strikes in Mexico and Colombia. He doesn't say he'll do it. He seemed open to the idea of it, so we'll have to see if that happens. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen, as we talked about earlier, with any kind of military action in Venezuela. Naruk thinks he wants oil? Let's see here. Jen's Crunchy Vax thinks that's insane. Gigi says, go for it. Mexico won't do anything for themselves. And by the way, I didn't watch what Maduro said. It's in Spanish. I don't think we're going to do that because we watched President Trump speak from I haven't heard any reporting on anything huge and new that Maduro said so far. I'm not aware of it though. I wasn't watching it. But he was doing Maduro was doing like a periodic media. I think he does like a media show or something like that every once in a while. It wasn't like a speech to the nation or something, like a special speech. But I did want to mention, one of our viewers, PJ Bachman, pointed out, President Trump spoke at a McDonald's corporate event today, the McDonald's Impact Summit, which we watched earlier. You can rewind and watch it. What I didn't realize is the White House actually posted on their social media, they posted an image of the White House with the golden arches on it. You can see that right there. Above an announcement that Trump was speaking at the McDonald's Summit on the economy and more. And they also posted a picture of Grimace with a MAGA hat. The White House says, our close friend Grimace says, make America great again. And it's Grimace with a MAGA hat. I might have to repost that. That's an interesting post. Okay. Sabor says it's actually hilarious. Chris F says, poor Grimace. Oh, yes, and the M in MAGA is the golden arches, as Larry Martinez pointed out. Anyways, I just wanted to let you know that had happened. Oh, I did want to mention, one of our viewers wrote in. Our viewer, Stephen Roberts, wrote in and says he thinks that with Epstein, he thinks if there were anything at all negative about Trump or any other opponent on either side, he thinks that the information would have been leaked to the media long ago regarding Epstein. He thinks also no one knows how Epstein made his money. No one seems to know. He thinks that there is fear among some people that the files will expose some questionable or shady financial deals that some of the rich and powerful would not want the public to know about. I have no idea. It's an interesting thought from Stephen Roberts. Thanks, Stephen, for writing in. All right. And thanks to Mr. Ray Romantico, our member. Oh, and I also wanted to shout out our moderators. Really appreciate our moderators who have been here. Leslie Ladyhawk, for example, on YouTube, and Havasumam. Good to see you, Havasumam, on YouTube, and our other YouTube moderators who've been there. On Twitch, people like 13 Alamo, Big Ball of Yarn, Good Luck Duck, LB Prairie Dawn, Idaho Star, I Got That Fire, Matthew Kohai 3, McBritches, Sarah and Surly Dev all moderating. Linda Belk, Larry, and Misha moderate for us on X and also over on Facebook. Moderators like Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley, Shannon Davis Hughes. Thanks also Rebecca Davis for subscribing over there on Facebook, and Chuck Mosca. So I think, here's what I think. We're going to be busy tomorrow covering the really quick, I want to mention this. Larry Summers, who's the former Harvard president, will step back from all public commitments to rebuild trust and repair relationships with the people closest to me. That's according to the Harvard Crimson newspaper. That comes days after a number of emails were released, Jeffrey Epstein emails, including documents showing that Summers and Epstein continued to exchange messages until July 5th, 2019. I'll post a link to the article if you want to read it. I'm not going to get into that right now. I just saw that right now. So it's in the Harvard Crimson, the newspaper. Anyways, so if you want to look at that, you can look at it. But I think we're going to be so busy tomorrow. So we have the House vote on releasing the Epstein files, which again, even if they vote for it, the Senate would have to approve it and then Trump would have to sign it. But the House vote to tell the Justice Department to release the Epstein files, that's tomorrow. I believe it in the afternoon. Tomorrow morning, we're going to cover that. Tomorrow morning, there's a press conference scheduled, I think for 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Marjorie Taylor Greene and other members of Congress are supposed to be, I think maybe Ro Khanna too, are going to be giving a press conference tomorrow morning, which I'm planning on covering. And then the Saudi leader, Mohammed bin Salman, is visiting the White House tomorrow during the day. So that'll be going on as well. So I think we're going to be very busy tomorrow. If this press conference happens as scheduled, we'll be coming on in the morning to cover that. Because again, as far as I am aware, the press conference is supposed to be... is it still scheduled? Yes, around 9 a.m. So we would come on before that. And I don't know if we would just do one long stream or go off and then come on again, but planning on covering that. So I hope you can join us tomorrow for our coverage. We will be having a bunch of stuff, and we'll be definitely covering the vote as well. So press conference in the morning and then vote in the afternoon and probably some other stuff thrown in. So I'm going to start wrapping up this, but we'll be on tomorrow and be busy. If there's some huge news tonight, we can come on the air and we can cover it too. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in for our live broadcast today. If you missed it, we talked about the Epstein situation. We talked about Venezuela. And we talked about some other stories as well. And we watched President Trump speak live at the McDonald's Impact Summit. So I hope you can join us for our coverage tomorrow. If you want, subscribe, follow Agenda Free TV. We cover all kinds of live breaking news without an agenda. And you can follow me on X for news updates. I'll be posting there on X. At Lookner is where you can follow me on X, Lookner. I'll post a link in the chat. That is where I cover breaking news on X. And I would suggest turning on the notifications for the channel. We have a notification system that works great. It's free. You sign up once. You get sent a notification whenever we go live. It's really reliable. We do it through Discord. The mods will post a link to the free notifications in the chat. You can also find that link on YouTube and Facebook in the description of this broadcast. But sign up for the notifications. And another good way to find out when we're going live is if you're on X, follow us on X at Agenda Free TV. I always post there when we're going live. I post updates about the channel there at Agenda Free TV. But I really appreciate people watching. I appreciate people writing in and letting me read your comments and questions on the air. Hold on a second here. Thanks, Marin Gobra, for subscribing, for being a member for almost 4 years. And all of our other members. We'll thank our other members in a second, too. But again, thanks for joining us and more coverage tomorrow, if not tonight. Hey, shout out again to our moderators. You guys are awesome. Really appreciate it. That's why we can have chats, is our moderators. We couldn't without them. I'm going to name them again. I just did, but I'm going to say it again. Roberts May Queen, Leslie Ladyhawk, Ruth Krafasi, Havasu Mom, over there on YouTube. Thanks so much for modding all of our YouTube moderators. Linda Belk, Larry, Misha on X, Kay Lowry, Body, Shannon Davis Hughes, Paul Anderson, thanks Paul, and Margaret Riley, thanks for moderating there on Facebook. On Twitch, again, shout out to all of our mods there. 13 Alamo, Big Ball of Yarn, Good Luck Duck, LB Prairie Dawn, Idaho Star, I Got That Fire, Matthew Kohai 3, McBritches, Sarah and Surly Dev, and all of our other Twitch moderators. Thanks so much for moderating. All of our moderators, thank you. What was I going to say? Oh, thanks to everybody who donated. That's super nice of you guys. That's what allows the channel to exist, your support. So I really appreciate that. Zombie Bambi, thanks for subscribing. Zombie Bambi 666, thanks for subscribing on Twitch. Also, did I get everybody else? Mr. Ray Romantico. Oh, thanks, Miss Michael Hutchinson. Michael, I missed your question before. Michael had wondered if it was confirmed that Russia was responsible for the railway damage in Poland, could that activate NATO Article 5? So that's a legal question which I'm not going to have the time to get into right now. Article 5 says basically an attack against one member is considered an attack against all, but I think maybe they have to vote on it or something. How is it? I think maybe they all have to agree, all of the NATO members, but I don't necessarily want to get into all that right now. But anyways, my thought though is, so I can't imagine at this point that NATO is going to be making a huge deal of that incident, because they probably, one argument would be is they don't want to escalate things before they feel like they really need to. So there have been other incidents of, I would say, similar levels of seriousness over the past several years, and not once has NATO said that's an Article 5 violation. So anyways, that's my really brief, non-expert response to your question, which I missed before. So that it's not an expert response. It's not that specific, but that's my thought on the matter. Anyways, if as I said earlier, if they like blew up a train with people in it or something, it's like that would probably maybe be a different response. Anyways, I don't want to get into all that right now, though. There's specifics to that, and I don't. We're getting off the air now, but I missed the question before, so I want to address the question. Let's see here. But thanks to everybody for your support of the channel, and also, what else was I going to mention? Oh, we do have a chat where you can chat with other viewers when we're not live. Our Discord chat. A bunch of our viewers like doing that. It's free. It's the same link as the notifications link to sign up for the free notifications. So check out our Discord chat. And thanks so much to our Discord mods for all you do as well. Thank you to Discord mods. Our Discord mods. And for those who watch on YouTube, I would suggest turning on the YouTube notifications. But and thank you again, Michael Hutchinson, for your support of the channel. If you want to turn on the if you want to turn on the YouTube notifications, it can be a little tricky. So what you need to do is you need to subscribe to the channel on YouTube and then click the bell and choose all notifications. So subscribe, click the bell, choose all notifications. That is how you turn the notifications on. If you are already subscribed, click the bell and choose all notifications to turn the notifications on. All right. I want to shout out our Facebook subscribers like Chuck Mosca and Sharon Klassen-Goslin and Rebecca Davis and Robert Real II, Margaret Riley, Kay Lowry, Body, Shannon Davis Hughes, all of our other Facebook subscribers. Thanks so much for subscribing over there and supporting the channel. Thank you. And our Twitch subscribers, shout out to you, people like Amalian, Gina Pina, Wall Street and Shaggy, 13 Alamo, thank you, Zombie Bambi, Broken Neck Radio, Will Okla, Patin Shan, thank you, Chi-Town Bear, CC, Matthew Kohai 3, thanks for subscribing. I should have shouted you guys out earlier, my fault. Barcodable, Sentient Cannabis, Artful Nothing, thanks for subscribing on Twitch, Billy Joe, and I Got That Fire. Thank you for subscribing. And all of our other Twitch subscribers, big thanks. And our YouTube members like JD63, Red Girl, Jess C, CAC813, JK Cinar, the one and only, Jay Hitchcock, Michael Avery, and Bella. Marin Gobra, Larry Martinez, Holstrand, Red Girl, I Am Charlie, Val Cargo, Wickedest Witch, Gary Baines, Justin King. Did I say Marin Gobra? I think I did, but thanks again. Babs, Jen's Crunchy Vax, Danny G. Thanks for being members. Austin Batman, all of our other members as well over there on YouTube. So I really appreciate that. All right, we're going to wrap up this stream. UV Lightning, thanks for being a member as well. Thanks Maggie McLeod for watching. Princess Kidda, Jake Blues, thanks for watching. Trying to Serve Jesus, thanks for watching. Honey Bunch of Slugs. Merkso, thank you for watching. Artist Caverlin, thanks for watching. And Melissa Terry, Barry Eisler, Audrey Burbank, thank you. All right, guys. So wrapping this up, a bunch of coverage for tomorrow. I think the first thing we're going to be covering tomorrow is that press conference about the Epstein files, which is supposed to be around 9 in the morning, but maybe the time will change. I don't know. So look out for it. That's Eastern time. And vote is supposed to be in the afternoon. That time could change, so we'll have to see. But first coming on in the morning, that's the plan tomorrow. But again, turn notifications on. Check our X account and to find out when we're coming on the air. So that is it for right now. I really appreciate you being here for the stream, and we'll see you soon with more live breaking news coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.